YouTube deigned to let me go live. Excellent. Oh, the Carols are in together, aren't they? Hello, Carol from Ohio, and hello, Carol, birthday girl. Birthday girl, not forgotten. Happy birthday for yesterday. And who else have we got? We have a Deb. We have Debbie. We have Deb. We have Kim. Oh, hello, Graham.
Can I just make a public service announcement?
If you like.
To Sarah. We're live, Sarah.
Oh, as opposed to what?
Sarah yesterday thought that we were live, but not live. Or
Oh,
I
no,
think it was
we're
yesterday.
live, we're live.
Or it could have been last week.
Oh, look. Did you feel the earthquake? Yeah, that was us arriving. YouTube deigning to let us go live. Excellent. Right, where was I up to? I was up to Graham, wasn't I? Hello, Graham. Didn't I hear shenanigans down in your area of the country? Mind you, the UK is just potty at the moment. Right, let's carry on. Hello, Ignacio. Got your message. Not tonight, but in the future. Good shout. Right, who else have we got? Oh, we've got D. Hello, D. Hello, Renee. Oh, Carol, that sounds painful. Hope you're okay. Hello, Paul. Hello, Doc. And who else have we got? Ignacio, Peter. If we have Peter, we should have Annie, shouldn't we? And who else have we got with us tonight? We've got Sarah with us. That's fantastic. And I think I've got everybody. Yay! I am hot. If you hear bad words, that's because I'm hot. We've turned all of the fans off, which, in hindsight, terrible idea. Right, I'm moving that so I can see it, and I'm moving all of these, and it's been a rare old week here, as you're about to discover. Right, you can hear me still pressing buttons, can't you? Yeah, it's been that kind of week, trust me. Right, I'm going to press that button, and then that's going to be live. Marvellous. And then I'll press another button, and then the first button will need pushing again, so I've done that. Then we can transfer that. That's the iMac. Yes, I know that's the iMac. Yay! So, hello and welcome officially. What have we got this week? A rather interesting week at MacBites headquarters, followed by browser extensions. I've had many requests for what do you use? Well, what I use might not be what you use, but what I have done in the browser that I use the most is really cut down on the extensions. Even wrote an essay about it yesterday, which if you're following me on Twitter, you will have seen. So browser extensions, the ones I use, the ones I don't use, and the ones that you might use. Who knows? I do have freebies, summer-based freebies, so hopefully you'll enjoy those. And then Mike is finishing up his cube functions. Then we've got, I would say this has been the most requested, wouldn't you, in the last few months?
Yeah.
And I've been putting it off. And there is a reason for that, and that's drafts. It's not being put off because it's bad. Oh no, it's so good. It's got all my data in it. And it was like, well, how do I demonstrate it if it's got all my data in it? So, in honour of demonstrating it, I have nuked all my data. This better come back later, I'm telling you. But we do have drafts. It's going to be a multi-parter. We're starting with the macOS version. But there is an iOS version. So if you are PC, but you have an iPad or an iPhone, it's just as relevant. We just happen to be starting with the Mac version. And then we have some fabulous unboxings that you will not want to miss. Just saying. Right, what size has it got you in this week?
Proper size.
Proper size.
Proper size.
Excellent. No, not for me this week. It had me in 480, and I was wondering why this demo I was watching was blurred. Right, but we do broadcast in 1080p, so make sure that you are watching in 1080p. There is a cog in the lower right-hand corner. While you're down there, you could give us a thumbs up. It really makes a difference with YouTube. So what have we been up to this week? Oh, it's been a blur. It's been a total blur, I'm telling you. It all started on Saturday when luckily we were prepared with 9 pre-recorded shows for Brooklyn's 196. But at 7 o'clock, we went and we did Marooned. And you know what happens at 8 o'clock? Chaos lands. And it did. We had a Brooklyn's 196 by request. We had a fabulous theme. It was royalty. And you know the funny thing today, Mike? You see that picture? Obviously, I put the dog on it. I don't think that's Buckingham Palace. But if anybody knows where it is, do let me know. Because that very same long hall was on the TV today, on a channel called Sky Arts. And one of their segues is like a lady all dressed in red, like a Japanese lady, with fans, and she kneels down on the floor, and it's in there that she's kneeling down. And then she has these fans, and the fans turn into butterflies. I'm assuming at that point we've gone all CGI. But I thought, just a minute, that's my palace with my royal corgi. And it was that, but I don't know where that is, so you need to let me know. Oh, D. Elaine needs to go up to 4K so we can really separate the women men from the girls and boys. Steady on. And the these and thems. If I broadcast in 4K, just imagine the heat in here today. No, you do not want to imagine that. Anyway, while we started the show, we had the Asda delivery. But more importantly than that, the match started. How dare they put a match on the night we're busy? But we shared it with everybody, and it was unbelievable. What a night. I should have actually keyed up the thing. Oh, in fact, I might be able to do that, mightn't I? I could potentially do that. But then YouTube might hear it. No, years and years ago on our local radio station, they had 2 jingles. It's a goal! And oh no. And they would play these jingles and then leave you in suspense for like 2 seconds. And it used to drive me insane. But we found it. And I said to Mike, if England score, I'll use the Piccadilly jingle. Well, we interrupted programming 4 times because England won 4-0. Oh my God, it was a miracle. As Kim will vouch, some of us got rather excited. Some of us were a smidgen overexcited with that. Didn't expect them to do that well. There you go. So here we went into Sunday, and we woke up on Sunday morning and it was like, something happened yesterday, or is it a dream? And we had to check, but no, we'd still won 4-0. It was a miracle. By Monday, of course, we were over ourselves, weren't we? No, we weren't. It was like, yes, because it was dawning on being the semi-finals. So when it came to Tuesday, we dutifully sat down and watched the first semi-final. It was agonising. It was shocking. It even went to penalties. I mean, 90 minutes of it was enough, but no, they went to extra time and then penalties. And the penalties, honestly, they were the worst penalties I've ever seen. Talk about couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. But with England's match still 24 hours away, this wasn't the time to criticise. No, it was time to get the prayer mats out. You never criticise anybody else taking penalties if you've ever seen England take penalties. So the grand day arrived. I don't remember getting much work done, to be honest. I was ready for the match. I was. And yes, we needed to take it into extra time. But, oh my God, we won. That was when I noticed. Have you noticed our flag and Denmark's, apart from the fact that their cross is slightly askew, they look like negatives of each other? I hadn't noticed that before.
No, I hadn't noticed that.
Anyway, it was a fantastic, fantastic night. You may have heard my whooping and hollering from wherever you were. Yep, we made it. Do you know, I got that picture and somebody asked me, why is there a star above our badge, our 3 lions? Do you know the answer to that?
No idea.
Mike. Well, if I were to tell you that Brazil have more than one of those stars, would you know that?
Oh, the number of times they won the World Cup.
Yeah, that star is the one time we have ever got to a final and won the thing. We won the World Cup in 1966. So we don't get anything for this on our badge, I don't think. But, it's the World Cup next year, so never mind. If you think this is just us getting over giddy, it wasn't. This was the morning after the night before. Seriously. Oh my, yeah, the entire country was delirious with this. But Thursday brought a little bit of, I wish it had brought some rain into our life, to be honest. Yeah, we had a problem. Britain is not short of water. We are never short of water in the form of rain. We're also an island, so, surrounded by water. But there would appear to be a worldwide shortage of water that has hit the UK. We could not buy a bottle of water to save our lives. So Thursday was rather interesting. So this is 2021's version of 2020's toilet roll fiasco. The lesser spotted bottles of water. So last night, if you were with us live on Marooned last night, you will have done the live MacBites Weekly Shop with us, just so we could get some water. Well, update on Friday. No water at Tesco, no water at Asda, so we sacked them all off. I found water at Morrison's. There was a strict limit on what you could have, which was 4 bottles. This isn't going to suffice, I thought. I found a way round it. And this morning, 56 litres of water arrived at MacBites headquarters. So that should keep us going for at least a week. So you don't have to start sending it in buckets. We're okay at the moment. We've just taken delivery of 56 litres of it. Tell me, is this happening where you are? It's utterly ridiculous in the UK. If it's not one thing you're short of, it's another. It's just not good enough. But we are now at 2 Show Friday, and we are about to head into browser extensions. However, fractionally before I go into browser extensions, I've just realised there is a snafu on the slide which I need to fix. So I'll fix that and then we'll talk about browser extensions. Oh, all seamless, isn't it? There we go. So, browser extensions. Right, I can just about see the chat. I would much rather be seeing the chat on another device, which I'll sort out in a moment. Yeah, maybe I need glasses to see the chat. That'll do. Right, we got any questions so far, Mike? Or are they just delirious that we've got water?
Yes, Pedro was asking about what you were talking about, and I said soccer, and he said, right, well, now he understands how we feel when they fawn over baseball.
Exactly. Exactly. It was a big occasion. Trust me on that. It was a big occasion. We literally have not made a final in 55 years. It's 55 years since we even made a final, so we are very excited. We are.
And they had a run on toilet paper, and that's why people need to get bidet seats.
Do you know, there's just no words for it. The thing was, Tesco came back on Twitter and said to everybody, yeah, there's a shortage, a problem with supply. It's water, and this is the UK. That's the one thing we never run out of. I mean, at the moment, it's too hot and it's not raining. But for literally 10 months of the year, it does nothing but rain. So why don't you stand outside and bottle some? But no. And have you noticed as well, this was the other thing that we noticed. This problem with supply, strangely enough, it's only with the cheaper end of the market. If you want to spend £6 on a bottle of water, they've got a bottle of water for you. They just don't have the ones that are 25 pence.
Like if you want to spend £6 on a packet of toilet paper.
Exactly.
They've got plenty in stock.
And then we nearly petrified Kim to death, didn't we, with the price of eggs? You could have, was it 6 eggs or 3 eggs? I think it was 6 eggs.
Me.
But it was $6.99 for a packet of eggs.
I need to add eggs to the order.
Don't forget the eggs, because I couldn't get the eggs. They'd sold out of the eggs that I bought. But apparently the chickens live in finery. Anyway, let's get on with these browser extensions before we are discussing shopping all night, which I wouldn't particularly enjoy. I'm not the keen shopper, me. I'm the one that gets drawn into it when Mike's struggling with something. So we'll doubtless all hear about it any second from now when Mike discovers they've got no eggs. Which will happen, I'm telling you it will. Okay, browser extensions. First things first, let me know in the chat, what browser do you use? You should all know by now that I use Vivaldi. I didn't always use Vivaldi. I used Internet Explorer back in the day, just like everybody else. In fact, if you want to go further back than that, I used Netscape. Was it Mozilla?
Mozilla Netscape.
Mozilla Netscape, way back in the day. Then I moved to Internet Explorer. Then I came to my senses and I moved to Opera. But then I moved to a Mac and I used Safari. And then I couldn't take Safari anymore and I used Chrome. Couldn't take Chrome anymore and started using Firefox. But I started using Vivaldi purely to host other applications. So to host Notion, to host Roam, whatever service that I use online, I would then have used Vivaldi for it. But the problem was...
Pedro says yeah for Vivaldi. Ignacio says Firefox and Vivaldi. And Debbie says Firefox.
Yay!
And Dee says Safari and proud. Unproductive.
But proud. Well, no, because Safari, aren't they supporting Chrome extensions shortly?
Oh, no.
With the full Monty, I think they might be.
And Ignacio uses Edge sometimes.
I use Edge. I've got that many browsers, it's frightening, honestly. I've got Chrome, Chrome Canary, Chromium, Brave, Safari, Vivaldi, Firefox, you name it, I've got it. If it's a browser, I've got it. But it was only about...
René says Netscape Navigator. Then he says he lied.
If you're still using it, good on you. You must be using an old piece of kit. But I actually switched to Vivaldi totally because of one extension. I did love Vivaldi. It was like, oh, this is great. We do this and do this and do this. And I thought my only problem is, I don't know about you, but I am a bad girl. Oh, I'm a bad girl. I open up far too many tabs and then I have to try and manage them in some kind of way. And that was why I used Firefox as my default browser. But I have gone to town here trying to make this work for me and work in a really good way. So, first of all, we need to see where the Chrome extensions live. So I'm going to turn this back on and bring this on the screen. Right, these are all the things that I'm going to be looking at. But first of all, we've got the Chrome store. Now, even though it's Vivaldi, it supports Chrome extensions. I would say probably 99% of the extensions work perfectly, but there is a handful that don't. In my case, I think there's only one. But I thought I'd point that out as we go. Peter says I only use Safari sometimes by mistake. I do have a use for Safari. I think 2 or 3 times a year I use Safari. But Safari, being the browser that's on the Mac, provided by Apple, means that any government service that needs to support the Mac will work with Safari. So if I have a VAT return to submit, a tax form to submit, or company's house to deal with, I use Safari. And I know that way that I've got 100% compatibility. Technically speaking, I should have with Chrome. And if I have with Chrome, then I should with Vivaldi, but I don't risk it. You know, I do not want an error message coming back, because me with my tax is like, oh, there's 30 seconds to go, plenty of time. I'm very naughty. So I want 100% compatibility, and that is when I would use Safari. But in Safari, I don't really have much in the way of extensions, because I just open a page, do what I need to do, close the page. But in the browser or browsers that I'm working with a lot, then I want the extensions that provide me the features that I need. So the place to start is the Chrome Web Store. The first one I install, what's the first one you install? Let me know. But the first one I install is 1Password. Now, just to show you what I've got actually in this browser, for a start, I've taken away a lot of the buttons. So I don't have a home button. I don't even have a refresh button. I don't need a refresh button because I use a gesture. So in Vivaldi, you have gestures. So if I go up and down holding the right mouse button, it refreshes the page. If I want to open a page, I can. If I want to close a page, I can. If I want to go backwards and forwards, I can. So I don't actually need much in the way of buttons on the toolbar, so it's very, very sparse. At this end, I can make a QR code, and I can also bookmark this page. But in terms of extensions, the only extensions that I've actually got showing is just the one. That's my most critical extension, that one. For Debbie, it's LastPass. RoboForm for free for Pedro. All perfectly viable alternatives. I've just been with 1Password for that long. In fact, I think I got it the year I got a Mac, so it'd be 15 years this year. Oh, we've got another vote for LastPass there. I just use 1Password. It's just been there since forever. So I do. But you'll notice that that isn't showing because there is a shortcut to use that. So when I click on the drop down arrow, you can see what I've got here, which is not much. And I don't particularly want to have much either. I would say I've actually got more than that. That's my full range of extensions. But this at that point, if you add one more, it will go down another row and then start another row. So I don't have that many extensions, and I'll explain why, and if you're not using Vivaldi, what you could use instead. Monterey will gladly import all your 1Password passwords. Yeah, but I wouldn't trust it anyway. And I want that 1Password's fairly standard across all devices and Windows. So I'm quite happy with that as it goes. Plus the fact they've got the family thing. So Mike and I can share certain vaults, but not certain other vaults. I think we need to create a vault for your mother. That'd be great fun. At least we then know what her password is, because she can never remember it for 2 minutes together.
Yeah, there's one password we need.
There is actually, yeah. The Netflix one.
Yeah.
She's got Netflix.
I don't think she knows it.
No, but if we ever work out what it is. Right, so the one that I've got there is the only one that I want to interact with a button. Everything else has a shortcut. But 1Password's the first one that I put on. And the next one that I put on, so let's bring these up so we can see them. There's 1Password. All of these are free. There are some paid extensions, but not that many, to be honest. So 1Password went on first. My next one was actually AdBlock. Now, there are other ad blockers. This one does come up and prompt you to make a donation. But the thing is, if you make a donation, it still props up on the next one and wants a donation. But whether you do or whether you don't, and there's no need to if you don't want to, it says like, what's this worth to you? You can quite happily put nothing and it will carry on working exactly the same. So I've used AdBlock for years and years. There was one thing with AdBlock, and if you remember this, let me know. Do you find this as ludicrous as I do? AdBlock decided they were going to, that was their entire reason for existing, to block ads. They then decided they'd sell some ads. And I thought, pardon? And basically, there's a setting in that will let you say, show me certain ads, which to me is ludicrous. So I don't turn that on. But it's called something like responsible ads. And I thought, I don't ever want to see ads. When I see sites in another browser that I don't have an ad blocker in, and I only have one browser where I don't, and that's Canary. And that's so I can open up pages where it won't open unless you let the ads in. And the ads are just like, I can't find the content for the ads. It's really bad. In those circumstances, what I do, in that other browser, is I use the reader view, and that basically you just see the text. But the ads are so intrusive. Oh, Renee loves free. Right. Yep, I have never paid for AdBlock, and it works fine. It works absolutely fine. But that's the next one that I put up there, followed by this one that you see quite a lot, which is that. And that is actually an extension called Speed Dial 2. Do not get confused with Speed Dial 2 and Speed Dial 3. I have no idea who owns Speed Dial 3, but they have trademarked Speed Dial 3 when the original Speed Dial people, obviously they got there first, who make Speed Dial and Speed Dial 2, clearly they hadn't, but they're not the same peoples. So Speed Dial 2 is where it's at. But there's two different ways to work. So it looks here as though this would be identical to how I would have something like Chrome. So if I open Chrome, which is on the other window, and I bring Chrome on, looks the same, but it's not. So if I take this down, you do have the blocks. I've told it 5 blocks wide. Obviously on this one, it's only doing 4 blocks wide. You still have the same stuff at the top. Don't worry about the hieroglyphics. That's me. It made sense when I did it. Don't ask. It's a long story. But you don't have the search box, and you don't have this little burger bar here, which gives you all of the settings. You do have a settings, but it's just not the same. So while they do look incredibly similar, the way to get this extension working in Vivaldi is to set it as your home page. So if we look at the URL, this one is speeddial2.com/bookmarks. You look at that one and there isn't a URL. And that's because the extension is loading it in and the URL is blank. But the only way to get it working in Vivaldi is actually to set it as the home page, which you can do. The only downside of doing that is that you can't edit the blocks that you see. So all the blocks are there, but you can't actually edit them. But it works, and it works well. You can do exactly the same trick in any browser that doesn't support speed dial and any mobile device. So all you need to do is to take that URL, copy and paste it in, log into your account, and then set it as the home page, and that's it, you're done. So it's two different ways to make speed dial work. And what I've got is the pages that I go to quite a lot, all listed, and I've got groups as well. So I've got YouTube stuff that I watch, and I've got this one. This is all my YouTube things. So logging into the playlists and the YouTube studio and the channel, the live content, the uploaded content, and all of my stuff in Dropbox. I've got radio stuff in there as well for Brooklands and MacBites FM, all kinds of stuff in there. But they are grouped at the top, and that's why each one has a very tiny name. Because if I make that longer, if I put like WordPress instead of WP, I can have fewer of those, and I like to see more, not less. So that's why I do it that way. There are probably a million other ways that you could do that, and a million other extensions, but I just find that one rock solid. Having said that, both Renee and I this week had a problem where the login wasn't logging you in. It was just sitting there, and it wasn't actually logging you in. But it was a one-day thing, and it solved itself the next day. So do we have any questions about that? What I'm going to do here is try and get the chat a little bit nearer to me while I leave Mike to tell me if we've got any questions.
No, Pedro says he runs Pi-hole on a Raspberry Pi, which blocks many ads.
That is a fantastic name. I'm loving that.
That's what I thought.
It reminds me of Cake Hole. Right, YouTube. So if I go to YouTube and then I look at my own video, would you look at that? It's found it for me. That's awesome.
And Renee likes free.
Oh yes, free's always good.
Because you've cost him too much money.
Have I really? Oh, you've not seen today's unboxing yet. You might want one of those. Right, I've got that nearer, and now all I need to do is pop that nearer. Fingers crossed. Let's take that. Oh, no. Whatever that's... Don't do that. Right, there we go. I can see it. I can see both. Yay. Right. Right, I'm up to date. Got it. Okay, so that's speed dial. Mike's got the links for all these. Are you pushing them in one at a time?
Yeah.
Now, my favourite ever extension. And I never thought the day that I would see this, but it has happened. I've got these open here. So I've actually got my extension page open. Take you through what I've actually got installed and configured. We've seen the web store. We've seen 1Password. This is the homepage for speed dial. So it's speeddial2.com. And that's the homepage there. And I've got all of these tabs open. Now, the way that I work and what I actually do, I go off down rabbit holes researching. So if I'm researching the extensions that I need, and I'm going to write something about it. Now, if you've been following along with the blog, the Twitter thing, that's been very, very short stuff. What I'm doing with that is all of that is going into a Scrivener file to be extended for blog posts. So if I had the room, it would make sense if I'm writing a blog post about extensions that I use to have links to all of those extensions. And the old way of doing it would drive me mad, which was I would look at this and I think, okay, that's speed dial 2. So I need to type in speed dial 2, and then I need to go into here and I need to copy that URL. Then I need to go wherever it is that I'm going, and then I need to paste that in. And it's time consuming. It's far too time consuming. So I started looking for an extension that would allow me to copy the URL of open tabs. And I did find something, and it is still installed, I think. There we go. Copy all the URLs. And I used that one for years, but it didn't quite give me what I wanted. So I decided I would go round and carry on having a look. And I settled on this one, which is copy tab info. This is totally amazing. This extension it was the final push to move from Firefox to Vivaldi. because it's not supported on Firefox. The Firefox extensions, Firefox does not support Chrome extensions. So if you want to have one of these extensions and you're using Firefox, it has to be a Firefox version of that extension. But all of the extensions that I show here will work with Chrome. They'll work with Chromium and Canary and Brave and Vivaldi. If there's any gotchas with them, like that last little bit there, where with speed dial you need to do it a different way, then we'll let you know. I wanted to find a version of this extension for Firefox and I couldn't find it. What it does is you click on the button and it opens up and it gives you the huge menu, which might look like I'll never find the one I want, but actually it's quite simple. The first section that has the blue title and then goes down, so the first section is all to do with the current tab, just the tab that you're looking at. So if that's the one you want the link of in a specific format, then you can totally ignore the bottom two. The middle group, which starts with the blue menu, is all the tabs in the current window. And the bottom one is all the tabs in all of the open windows. So 9 times out of 10, I'm working with one of the top two, either a single link or a group of links. For this one, I'll show you a group of links. So in here, I want to take all of the links of all of the open tabs in a neat format that if I were to put that in an editor, so anywhere that I'm writing, Ulysses, Scrivener, wherever, I would have a nicely formatted block of links to refer to and say, you know, and here are the links, rather than do it one at a time. I mean, you can just look at that list and think how long that would actually take. So in here, you can copy it, you can copy just the titles as text. So if we do that, and I'm going to go to drafts, which we'll be seeing more of later, but at the moment I'm just using it because it's a blank page. That gives me all of the titles. None of the links, just the titles. I don't find that particularly useful, but you might. The next thing I can do is take just the URLs. So back to drafts, and this time I've got all of the URLs. Not bad, but to be honest, I'd have a really tough job looking at that and trying to work out which was which. It won't do for what I'm looking for my piece that I'm writing. But if we skip past the titles and the URLs, you then come on to the links. So you've got 4 options for all of the links, either as HTML ordered lists, unordered list, or markdown ordered list, or an unordered list. So if it's for a blog and I am actually writing that in HTML, I could click the unordered HTML option. And that would actually give me HTML code, all neatly organized. The UL means an unordered list, and then every single link within it is an LI, a line item, a list item. So not bad, but not very readable. So how I write in Ulysses, it's a markdown editor. So I use these bottom 2 here, or the bottom 2 up here, or the bottom 2 in the bottom one, depending on what I want. Current tab, one of these. All the tabs in this window, one of these. All the tabs together, one of these. So we're going for every tab in this window. The difference between an ordered list and an unordered list is the ordered list is numbered. So if you see it say ordered list, it means by number. I don't particularly want it by number because I may decide to reorder them, or I may decide to organise them in a different way and I'll start moving them around. So an unordered list is what I need, which means a bulleted list. So this time in drafts, and again, I'm only using this as like an empty text editor, I paste the links in. And although we've got lots of red squiggles on it, at the top, the first one that was open was the extensions window. The next one was the store, and then we went in starting to look at the actual item. So that one is 1Password. And each of these, and I do this all the time, so in drafts you'll see me do this a lot. I will just take my research that I've got open and put them in here. One thing you might be wondering about at this stage is why aren't these links clickable? You know, I can't click it and go to it. That's just something in drafts that I'll be showing you later, that you can make them clickable. There is a secret option at the bottom. But that gives me, that's my research done. I can now close all those tabs, and I've got them in here in this markdown format that I absolutely love. That was the extension that there wasn't available in Firefox. There was a similar one in Firefox, it just was nowhere near as good. So that to me is really, really well worth it. That is one of my number one. In fact, it is the number one because it's the only one that I have in the interface. None of the others are in the interface. The next category is clippers. So, which clipper you would need, and I haven't really got these in the right order, let's move that one up. Which clippers you would need depend on where you are clipping things to. So what do you use for your notes? Put that in the chat. Is it Notion, Evernote, Bear, OneNote? Oh, it could be anything, couldn't it? How do you clip if it's Apple Notes? There's an interesting point.
I have no idea.
No, I don't know either. You could probably do a send to. But I do have the Evernote web clipper installed. It's adequate. It's not fabulous. It's just adequate. The reason that I have it installed is mainly if I'm watching a YouTube video, or I'm watching any kind of video or article, I'm reading an article for personal development, I just want to clip that. And I clip
says
it.
Rome.
Oh, Rome, yep. There is a clipper for Rome. It's not brilliant, but there is a clipper for Rome. With Rome, to be honest, because it supports Markdown, I tend to just use that copy URL and do that. I don't do the thing where you highlight in the page and then clip all of that. I don't do that. That would drive me insane. I think I would be thinking to myself, I would never be sure whether I'd got either the whole article or enough of the article, or if I go back and they've rewritten the article. It's a bit like YouTube videos that you put to watch later, and then when you go and watch them, they've disappeared. There was a whole range of videos. You've probably seen them, Carol. Was it Anonymous? Was the user called Anonymous? And there was a whole range of these Rome videos, and the whole lot have gone. So clipping something is fine. If you clip the whole thing, then you've got the whole thing. But if you clip part of it and then you go back, it could well be that it's gone. So I tend to, in my case, I'm clipping to Evernote, to Notion, mainly what I call personal and professional development stuff. And then I put my own notes with it. What gets into Rome is very much a subset of that when I'm trying to create something. But there's an entire range of clippers. So Ignatio's going for OneNote. Oh, he never finished them. I thought they were finished. I thought it was a series that was finished. I assumed, I mean, I think I'd seen a couple. I assumed he'd disappeared and decided to make it a paid for thing, because they were very much part of the Rome community. But they've gone anyway. So clipping, very important. So I have the Notion one to clip to primarily my personal and professional development. I also have the one that Kim has, which is to clip to DevonThink. But you'll notice it's not up here. If I open it out, it is there. And my Evernote clipper's there. I've even got a secondary clipper to save to Notion rather than clip to Notion. But honestly, I don't use it that often. I really don't. I do like the fact that I can clip to DevonThink. That is particularly useful if I want the entire page as a PDF. Then I would. So the ones that I actually use would be Notion and DevonThink and Evernote. And this one might surprise you, but there is a reason, and that is Bear. Now Bear is a notes application from Shiny Frog. Shiny Frog being the people who make icon to image, or image to icon, I think. And it's not been around that long, but people love it. It is a beautiful, beautiful app. The reason that I have the app at all is sometimes when you try and clip something to Notion, to Rome, to DevonThink, to Evernote, it just doesn't work. You end up with an unholy mess. And you really want to capture the essence of it, you know, the text, the images, whatever. And it just will not capture. Bear has always worked for me. So as a last resort, when I've tried everything else, it's like, it's not working, I'll do it to Bear. And I do, and I clip something to Bear. And Bear has done it every time perfectly. What I then do, I don't leave it in Bear because I don't use Bear. Bear to me is a kind of utility tool. It will convert Enexes into importable chunks for Notion. It will convert the other way round. It really is just a utility. One of the things I wanted to capture was a huge long article about video production. And there was some write-up and a picture. Write-up and a screen cap. Write-up, screen cap. It was about 20 odd pages long. Nothing would clip it. Nothing. And I thought, well, as a last resort, I'll try Bear. And it did it. Then the issue I had was, how do I get it out of Bear and get it back into Notion where I wanted it in the first place? And then if I was putting my spin on that, that's when I would head off to Rome. But at this point, I was quite happy if I could get it as far as Notion. So what I did in Bear, I used the Bear extension to clip it. And then from Bear, I exported it as a markdown bundle and imported that into Notion, and everything was fine. All of the images went with it, the lot. Bear does have a paid for plan, but there's also a completely free version, which would enable you to pretty much do the same. So don't rule out something that you think, like, I don't need to add a new tool. Well, no, I don't need to use Bear either. It's just there in case there's an issue with anything else. So that's what I use Bear for. Oh, Kim really likes side notes for little notes. Yeah, I use that. I also use that for images. Oh, it's so much faster for images. If you've no idea what we're talking about, this is what we're talking about. It's an app that sits there. You have a shortcut key. It brings it up. And you have folders for your content. So I've got an inbox and I've got MacBites and then I've got some posters. And I know it says one next to each one, but I've actually got multiple ones. I've got Mad May in the showcase as well. So if I'm writing an email and I need a poster, then I choose 600 by 337, which is the size for an email. And I go into it and there's all the posters and I just drag out of there. So this is the exception, to be honest. You'll notice in my instance of SideNote, do you want to get the link for that? In my instance of SideNote, it's very much images and not text. I do have a little bit of text, but not much, because my text will go into drafts, which we're looking at later. My images, where on earth do you put the images that you need on an ad hoc basis? And I put those into SideNote. Aptorium is SideNote.
Got it.
Right, next lot. We've done ad block, hadn't we? So ad block should be right up there after one password. Let's put them in the right order. Right, the next thing that I do, oh, I'm lying, it's not the next thing that I do. The other thing that I do is clip to Instapaper. This might come as a surprise to you. I used Instapaper for quite a few years and I stopped all of a sudden. And I can pinpoint the date that I stopped. Instapaper were put off by the GDPR thing and the European rules. And so they blocked everybody in Europe. Fabulous. But what happened was I went on a course and I realised that when it comes to clipping, I do want to clip certain things to certain locations for a specific reason. So if I need it to be a PDF, it'll be DevonThink. If it's long-term stuff that I don't intend to look at now, it'll be Evernote. If it's something that's personal development, it'll probably be Notion. But there was just stuff that I wanted to keep, kind of thing. And I wanted a way to save it that was the same no matter what device I was on. And the nearest I came to it was adding to things. But then all I had was a link and I had to go and clip it manually when I got to a proper computer. And I thought, no. So what I did was I took out an Instapaper sub for a year, although there is a free version as well. And what I found with Instapaper is it works the same way anywhere. It doesn't matter whether it's Safari or Firefox or a mobile device or anything else. So if it's something that I want to look at, maybe I want to read it in the future, maybe I want to make some notes of it and put it with something else. But the best place to put it is Instapaper rather than one of the others, because if I put it in one of the others, I have to put all of the other associated things that I'm clipping into the same place for it to make any sense. So what I do, if I need it in Notion, I use the Notion clipper, and if I need it in DevonThink, I use the DevonThink clipper. But if I'm not sure where it's going, if it's information that I want to use, I want to consume, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, I might write a blog post based on it, or I might do a training video, I don't know, but I want to look at it, then the best place to put it is one single place, and in my case that's Instapaper. You could just as easily use Pocket. And Ignacio has asked about Raindrop.io, Raindrop.io, which could be an alternative to Instapaper. We're not going to look at that today. There's far too many to look at, but we will look at it in the future. But Instapaper is the one I'm using at the moment. And anything goes in there, like a story from the BBC I want to read later, a piece that links to something I read a week ago that I know I put in Instapaper, because at least now I'm putting it in one place. So I have the Instapaper one. The great thing with Instapaper that I really love about it is if I go to, for example, my blog, and we find a post, let's do something with a lot of text, like that one there. Right, I know with that one, with Instapaper, all I need to do is Command Shift and S, and it will save it. So it's showing you at the top, it's saved to Instapaper. I don't need to piddle about with the button up here trying to find out which one's which. I mean, it's obvious it's that one there, but these can't be moved. Pet peeve alert. I can't move them. So I don't really want to see it. I want all of the one, that one I'm quite happy seeing. The other ones I'm less happy seeing. So what I want to do with them is just be able to use a shortcut key, and that's a really quick way to do it. So Instapaper's fabulous, love that. Other place I clip to is things. So if it's something that needs to be done, I actually use Things, which is a to-do app. Now, let me know in the chat what to-do apps you use. Now, I used to use OmniFocus for years, and I spent more time triaging OmniFocus than doing any work, so it had to go. And the only reason that I tried Things yet again, because I'd tried it about 4 times and given up, and there wasn't anything wrong with it. It was a beautiful app. It always was. But it was just like, oh, yes, but by compared to OmniFocus, it's a toy. But actually, it's not. It's just understated. So I started using it to capture things just to the inbox, and that was all I did with it. But once I started getting things in the inbox, I'm like, I'll just make a project of that. I'll just do this. I'll just do that. And actually, it's a fantastic app. So because of that, I then put on the Add to Things extension. That's what I used for that. So let me know what you use. The other one that I did use many years ago was Wunderlist, which got bought out by Microsoft and is now Microsoft To Do, which we have looked at, and to be honest, that's even more powerful than Things. I wouldn't say it's quite as pretty, but it's very powerful because you can share lists. So I could keep an eye on what you're doing, couldn't I, Mike? Lucky Mike. So I could do. I wonder if there's an add to Microsoft. Ooh, we need to test this. Hang on, we've got the store up here, haven't we? What if we put in here Microsoft To Do? Microsoft. Now, is it one word or 2 words? Let's have a look. Microsoft To Do. Oh, it looks like there is. There we go. The To Do browser extension. But I'm not using that one at the moment. But yes, that's available as well. That's the good thing. If whatever browser you're using has Chrome support, there's probably going to be an extension for it. But I use Things, and that's why I have that. I've also got it, although you can see it up here in the hidden away extensions, and it's towards the beginning. This is 1Password, and that's Things. There's a shortcut key, so I always use the shortcut key, so we're back to that again. But some of these things are to add missing features, and that's why, now I'm using Vivaldi full time, I have pared back the extensions, because Vivaldi is so feature rich, you don't need half of the extensions. So sessions, managing sessions, which are groups of tabs, you can do that in Vivaldi, you don't need a session manager. Managing bookmarks, you don't need to do that either. The way that you work with the bookmarks is just amazing, so you don't need anything for that. And that's why I've ended up with this quite short list. But the one thing I couldn't fathom is why can't I merge windows? I can drag these tabs out really easily, but merging them back in, no. So I have this extension, which is the Merge Windows extension. Obviously, to show you that, I would have to merge the windows, which would be really interesting. So I've got another window over here, which has got my live stream stuff out, but you're just going to have to trust me on that. That if I go up here on the odd occasion, and I have got a shortcut key for it, and I merge the windows, I was concerned whether Vivaldi would cope with that, with it being a Chrome extension. And it did. And it doesn't, you know, the pages don't fly around. It's quite neatly done. It just works. So I tried about 5 of these, and they were all very different in what they did. But that was the one that I settled on from Single Click Apps, just merge windows. And it does what it says on the tin, which is fabulous. Another thing that I consider that it should have built in is the ability to stop any video playing automatically. It drives me insane. Now, it probably drives me insane more than it would maybe bother you, because I'm researching. So I'm going through YouTube and I'm looking at videos, and I might find about 6. And what I want to do is hold the command key down and open them up in separate windows, you know, separate tabs. And there's an almighty cacophony as they all start playing. Drives me mad. I have to go through every one and stop it. So what Stopper for YouTube does, it does one thing and it does it well. If I go to a YouTube video, if I just open up a YouTube video, either in a tab at the front or a tab at the back, it just stops it dead. You might get a squeak as it starts, like, and then that's it. It's dead. And I just love that. I like the control of going to an individual window and clicking play if I want to play it. But your mileage may vary. You might not do that half as often as I do. It used to be a built-in feature in Chrome. It was a test feature initially. It was video management, and it would allow you to nuke the video on every page or put safe pages in that you didn't mind auto-playing video. It was fantastic. And they ripped it out. Well, obviously they ripped it out because they're Google. And who own YouTube? Google. And if you nuke the autoplay of a video, what's the first thing that plays if you're not on premium? An ad. So you're basically stopping the ad, so they ripped it out. That's why I had trouble finding one. Because as soon as somebody puts one in the store, Google decide, no, we're not having that, and out it goes again. For some reason, this one, they've managed to get it in there and it's stayed. So fingers crossed it stays for longer. That's all it does, but I find that particularly useful. While we talk about YouTube, I think I did demonstrate this one, but I will demonstrate it again. This is one that I found not that long ago, and it was all to do, again, with watching a YouTube video and wanting to make notes on it. Half the time, it's my own videos. It's like I'm sure I demonstrated that in After Hours. So I go back, and what I want to do is make a note of when that was in the video. That will be enough for me, to be honest. But this one gives you a screenshot and a timestamp. So you start watching a YouTube video. Now, obviously, we're on YouTube right now, and if I try doing that, it's going to get very upset. Might get away with one of my own videos, you never know. But what it does, again, there's a shortcut key if you want to do that, but it is installed up here. It's this little red one up there. So one of the last ones that was installed. You click that button when you're playing a YouTube video, and it takes a screenshot from the video at that timestamp and the timestamp underneath it. And then you can start building up your notes about that video with a screenshot and a timestamp. I'm thinking this would be fantastic for our little subgroup on Slack who are doing the tutorials. You could whip through the tutorial using this extension and just take... I could put a point in time, I need to get to that stage, click, and then add that to your own notes, and then you've got this time-stamped list with screenshots of exactly where you are in the video. And that one is just amazing. I was actually surprised because I was on a course and I shared that as one of the demos. And nobody had ever heard of it. And I just thought that is so useful that I use that all the time. Oh, Dee says you can stop YouTube auto-playing in Safari. Just saying, well, of course you can. Because Apple don't like ads full stop unless they're Apple ads. No, that one I did need to add. But like I say, it used to be there and they took it away. I don't know why they don't add that to the premium subscription thing. And that might get more people to switch to a premium subscription. Oh, Carol's added that one. That one is just so useful. I actually do that in Rome when I'm going through a video and I put the notes in Rome and it's brilliant. But it's also brilliant if you've done a video for YouTube and then you want to write a blog post and you're basically writing up the instructions to match the video. If you just go through and so do the video first, and when you've done the video, just go through, click, 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 paste, 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 you're done. There's your blog post. It's fantastic. There you go, you see, Dee. It would make your life much easier for the creative challenge. Just find a point in the video that's either where you want to start watching a bit or as it gets to the next stage, and then you've got this document that you can follow through. Much easier. And the blue thing at the bottom, which is your link, it's a timestamp, but that is also a live link. So you click that and it takes you to the video, just to that spot, and then starts playing. Which, again, genius. Genius, genius. Loving that. Now, one that I don't need anymore, but I did used to use. And this is Sarka. Now, this one's funny. Sarka's really, really useful. It's a little bit like Alfred. So if we look at the screenshots, it brings up a window in the middle of your browser. And it will let you search the open tabs, the bookmarks, recently visited, your history, the whole lot. It's a really fast way to get back to either an open tab or a tab that you visited, or visit a bookmark really quickly. Now, problem is, well, it's not really a problem for me. I had this installed in every browser. So it works in Firefox, it works in all of the others via the Chrome Web Store, and I had it installed in all of the browsers. So hold on to that thought, it becomes relevant in a moment. And that included Vivaldi. It felt a little bit clunky, but it did the job. So I was quite happy with it. Then Vivaldi introduced Command and E. So Command and E in Vivaldi, if we do this, you can see here the tabs that I've actually got open. These are me navigating all of my open tabs. Now, you don't need to do it by moving that up and down, right? So you could actually start to type. So say you're thinking, I've got Adblock open. You do that and it takes you straight to the open tab. You can even decide whether you have the tabs first, the history first, the bookmarks first, the extensions first, whatever you want in here. And it's completely integrated into Vivaldi. But 90% of the features that are in here that you don't get in Chrome or Safari or anything else either, you can replicate with Sarka. So I decided once I'd got Command and E, the quick tools in Vivaldi, that I didn't need Sarka in Vivaldi anymore. So that's why on my extensions page, it's one of the ones that I have personally deprecated. Did I actually install? No, it's there. There's Sarka, but I've turned it off. So I don't use Session Box anymore. I don't use Sarka anymore. I'm actually not going to use Save to Notion anymore either, so I'll turn that off. I tried Workona Tabs Manager, don't need it, turn that off. So turning them off at this level, like one tab, turn that off. What else have I got? Copy all URLs, turn that off. Cluster is another window manager, I turned that off. So I went through and I turned off what I don't use. It's the next step would be then uninstalling it. So there's my Rome one that I've actually got turned off because I really don't save snippets to Rome. I realised that. Once I got it there, I'm like, when was the last time you used this? So I turned it off. So I turned Sarka off because I just don't need it. But all of the other browsers that don't have that, it's a really good extension if you're not using Vivaldi. Vivaldi has all of that built in, but none of the other browsers do, so you could use Sarka. Where it became a major problem was I've got a few apps installed, as we know. We checked my apps folder, didn't we? And there was like 999 of them. So I've got a lot of apps installed. And I started using PowerPoint. You're wondering what that's got to do with it. Well, there's a lot of shortcuts in PowerPoint that I don't know. So as I'm working with PowerPoint now, every time I come to something, I'm like, let me just see if there's a shortcut for that and then add it to the muscle memory. So I came to this feature thinking, oh, there must be a shortcut for this. And there was, and it was Command-Shift-1. So I used Command-Shift-1, and all I can say is 20 minutes later, it took a couple of screenshots. I could hear the camera sound. It brought up every browser I knew, and I'm like, what's it doing? What is it doing? And the issue was I had one application that took screen caps, that every time you restart it, no matter how many times you tell it not to use Command-Shift-1, reassigns Command-Shift-1 to a screen cap and automatically uploads it to the internet. Lovely. So that needed nuking. But Sarka also used Command-Shift-1, which would have been fine, as long as they'd had the wit to make sure that the scope of when Command-Shift-1 would bring Sarka to the front was in the individual browser that you were in, instead of which, in 7 browsers, it had set it to be a global default. And the poor Mac didn't know what to do. I used this Command-Shift-1 and it said, hang on a minute, and it took the screen cap and then it opened browser 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, then went back and took another screen cap. And while it's doing it, I'm sat there and it looked like the machine was possessed. So if you are going to give Sarka a try, if you're not using Vivaldi, make sure that you only have that key set to work within the browser. Otherwise, you could be in PowerPoint or anywhere else, and all kinds of things could be happening to you. Seriously. It was bad news. It was bad news. So I do still have that in all of the other browsers. I just don't have it in Vivaldi because it's not needed. The internal commands in Vivaldi are far, far better. So what extensions do you use? Is this part of the Vivaldi build with me? Well, you could say that, Kim, but I am actually going to do that. The only way I can do a Vivaldi build with me without nuking my entire setup is to install it on a new machine. So what I thought I'd do is probably a VM and then start completely from scratch. So we'll actually download Vivaldi as is, we'll install it, we won't log into an account, and I'll actually take you through how I've configured the whole thing. Because the thing with Vivaldi is everything can be configured. If you've never seen the Vivaldi preferences, if we start at the top and go to display all, and we start to scroll them, all of these are available for you to configure. Everything. And even within like this, you can drill down as far as you'd like. So there's a lot to configure in Vivaldi, and that's why Kim wants a build with me. This is actually the extensions. This would probably be the last bit that I did. Just look at how much stuff there is in here. It's unbelievable. But everything in here can be configured and toggled off. So if you never use the QR code, you can actually turn that off. You know, if you don't want to be able to select the address and all of this, you can turn it off. It's so configurable. It's absolutely fantastically configurable. I have actually configured some of the shortcuts myself, particularly the ones to show the sidebar. So if we come out of there, for instance, these tabs that I have on the side, I don't always want to see them, and so I can toggle them on and off. I also have, there's our chat window. That Mike's probably nuked. He has. There's our chat window. So I have our chat window open in that panel. And I've got the Brooklands one open. And I've got WhatsApp open. And I've got everything else open. But I have that toggling on and off with a shortcut key. But I had to change which shortcut key because it was clashing with something else in Google Docs, of all things. So I had to find the one that didn't clash. So yes, a build with me is planned. There are lots and lots of things to do with it, but once you've got it all configured, you then log into your account and you save that up to the Vivaldi cloud. And when you log into another machine, there's very little else that needs doing. There are some individual settings that are per machine, but the majority of what you have configured will come through. Some of the things that make no sense to me not to synchronize is the theme. And I actually had that. What you're looking at there is a completely custom theme, because I installed the last update and looked at it and thought, what have they done? And they've changed how it works, and I had to go through and reconfigure it. But I got there in the end. That's the one thing I don't think you can... Themes. Right, there's my custom theme, which is this one. So my accent is orange instead of blue. And I called it Midnight Orange, but I don't see a way to export that and to get it onto another machine, which is nonsensical. These come from Vivaldi, and no, I am not having it pink. It's so not being pink. But I just want to be able to, export that, and I can't. It makes no sense. I will get onto them and find out why, because I do need to export it, or I need to document it very closely so I know what the colours are that I've used. Otherwise, it's not going to look the same on every machine. But other than that, there's a lot to configure. Yes, Kim. How many weeks do you think it's going to take to get through all of the options? And the thing is, there's some really important options in there, and they're probably hidden away with other options that you probably would never touch. But every single thing I've ever tried to do with Vivaldi, I have found an option to do it. Even when I wanted to hover, and you see you get the cross over the icon. When the tabs were at the top, the cross was at the wrong end as far as I was concerned. It didn't match. It matched the Mac Human Interface Guide, which itself is backwards. But it didn't match what I was used to. And I thought, well, there's no way you're going to be able to move the clothes from one end to the other. There was. It was a snippet of CSS and it moved it. I'm like, that's amazing. So there's literally nothing I've ever tried that I've not been able to do. So yes, it's on the list along with Ignacio's Raindrop, which we will be doing. So, any questions on any of that? Oh, Tuber's Lab for YouTube Notepad. I'll have a look at that one, Debbie. No, that's the thing. That was the problem with Firefox. I love Firefox. Don't get me wrong, and I switched to it from Chrome when Chrome fiddled with the interface, and I loved Firefox. But I felt I was getting to the stage with some of the extensions that I was spending more time fighting it, trying to find an extension. I even looked at what it would take to actually be able to write my own extensions, but luckily I stopped myself. That's my trouble all over. It's like I'd rather like that, and I end up stopping life while I build it. No, I've got to stop doing that. So that was why, with all the features Vivaldi's got on top of the fight to try and find the Firefox extensions, that was why I moved. But I love Firefox too. Right, okay, no questions on that then, do we not?
No.
Okay. Right, we'll move on to the next thing then, which was the freebies. Found these this week. They're really nice. And it's the summer, so who doesn't want some... they're called summer invitations. So they'd work in Affinity Publisher. They are InDesign files that will open in Affinity Publisher. And they are invitations to parties or lots of other things. They are available in square format for Instagram, but also taller formats for other services, etc. And they are really, really nice. So they are available from Shutterstock. That's the QR code, and that is the URL. So I'll let Mike get that and paste that in.
I've put the URL in.
Okay, we're in there. Right, are you ready for your cube functions?
In a minute, when I've pressed record.
Yes, he checked I pressed record. It's all fine.
Right, I'm ready.
Right, okay. I will... why is that doing that?
Let me know when I can speak.
There we go. No, I'm passing over to you very soon when I've got your screen. I had to add the webcam last week, if you remember. So,
oh, yeah.
Your screen moved. But unicorns are us. Here we go.
Unicorns are us.
They're
Okay.
live.
Right. Last week we looked at creating a drop-down list of countries. So this was our report, if I can find my mouse pointer. This was our report, and we had a drop-down list of countries, and the idea was that you would choose a country and then it would change the total revenue based on that country. All the country names are stored, as you can see, in column O. What we have in L1 is the word countries, but actually what we have in L1 is a CubeSet function. What that CubeSet is doing is it's going to the data model for this file where the data is actually stored. It's looking in a column called country sold to, and it's retrieving all the values in that column and then listing each unique instance of one in column in L1, and it's storing it invisibly behind the scenes. The word countries is just like a placeholder so that you don't have a blank cell. So then what I've done in column M is I've counted how many countries there are, and then in column O, with the help of column N, I've listed all the countries out, and then the drop-down list is picking up its value from column O. The problem you've got, and this is what I mentioned last week, the problem you've got is what happens if you add an item to the CubeSet. Now, the data model, which obviously sits behind the scenes in this Excel file, and that's where the data's stored. The data model is getting its data from that CSV file that I've just opened up, stuck on the screen. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to whiz down to the bottom of this and add a new record. And the quickest way for that is just to copy and paste an existing one and just make some changes. So let's add Sweden and save the file. If we then go back into the Excel file and we do data refresh all, what that will do is that will update the data model. That will then update the CubeSet functions. So now we've got 9 countries, we've got 9 numbers there, but the problem we've got, although Sweden's there because these are in alphabetical order, the problem that we've got is that the last one is missing, which happens to be the USA, and that's because this formula which I entered into O1 has not copied down. So if I copy it down, then we get USA, but I would then have to go and edit the properties of this drop down to include the USA, which I can do with data validation, and change the source to include 09, and now we get our 9 countries. So although that works, it works best when you have a fixed set of items that you want to populate into this drop down. For me it's countries, doesn't have to be countries, just needs to be whatever you want to be able to filter on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a different way of doing it. So I'll delete the data there. So deleted the data in columns L to O. And in K1, although this could be anywhere, I just want to cell out of the way. In K1, I'm going to create a pivot table. So I'll do insert pivot tables, which seems to have disappeared from my ribbon. There it is. It's because I've not got my Excel full screen, so it's going like down 3 levels of menu. So insert pivot tables from a data model, and then I'm going to say where I want the pivot table to go. So I want it to go in column L, and to build the pivot table, what I want is I want a list of countries in the rows section, but that's all I want. So I don't want to see the total revenue per country, I don't want to see how many orders there were per country, I just want a list of countries. So 1, building a pivot table makes that quick, and 2, because the pivot table is directly linked to the data model, any changes to the data model which are fed from this CSV file will update this, and eventually it'll update that, as you'll see in a minute. So before I do that, I'm going to tidy up this pivot table. The first thing I'm going to do is going to design and then report layout, sorry, not report layout, grand totals, and turn the totals off so that row disappears, because otherwise the word grand total would appear in our drop down. I also want to hide the heading, which I can do with design and not design, analyze, pivot table options, go to the display section and take the tick out of display fields and filter drop downs. Okay, so what I have now is I have a list of countries, but that list is dynamic. So if I added another country, so let's go and do that. So let's copy that, paste that in, and let's go and add Scotland. Okay, in fact, no, I'll add Ireland. I'll add Ireland because I know that Dee's watching, unless she's talking about unicorns, of course. Let's save that file and then just do a refresh. So data and a refresh. So now it's automatically added Ireland. So it does it automatically because it's updating the data model, then updating that pivot table. But it hasn't updated this drop down. In fact, the drop down is totally empty. Apart from Germany, that's only there because it remembers what I used last time. And that's because the drop down is still set to point to that range there, which I've since deleted. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the drop down there, but I'm going to change the drop down so that it is pulling its values from column K. But the problem I've got is I can't just say K1 to K10, because what if I added in another country? Then it would be K1 to K11. I want that to update. So not only do I want this list to update, I then want it to ripple through and feed through to the data source for here. So this is how you set the data source for a validation drop down where you want it to be dynamic. So I'll go into data validation, leave it set to a list, but I'm going to change the source by using a formula. So instead of a fixed range of cells, this is the formula that I want to put in. Equals offset, open brackets, K1, comma, 0, 0, count A, and then column K. It's not just K1, it's actually the whole of column K, comma, close brackets, comma 1, close brackets. So if I just explain that, the starting point is 0 rows, I need an extra comma there, 0 rows and 0 columns away from K1. So basically with the offset function, you're giving it a starting point, which in this case is K1, and then you're saying actually start on K1. So don't pick a cell that's a certain number of rows and columns from K1, and then select a range which is X rows high and Y columns wide. The number of rows high is determined by the number of items in column K, and it's always going to be 1 column wide. So I'll click on OK there. So that now, as you can see, is pulling its data in from column K. So let's, rather than adding another entry, let's just go and change one of these. Let's change Germany to, who shall we have? We haven't got Spain, have we? So let's have Spain.
Apparently we've not got the Netherlands either.
Is that what...
That's the discussion.
Is it? Okay, we'll have the Netherlands in that case.
No, Dee says she doesn't see it, but is it there?
No, the Netherlands isn't there. So we've added
poor
in.
Renee.
We've added now in one entry for the Netherlands. So Rene's been out and he's bought some unicorn shoes, and he spent £1,224 on them. very expensive shoes.
That was the 24. The other 1,000 was on stuff I recommended,
Oh,
probably.
yes. Yeah, probably was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Probably.
Okay, now, if I then do a refresh all, that will add the Netherlands. Why is it not added the Netherlands in there?
We don't think data's available for the Netherlands.
It's not there. Okay. What have I done here? Have I missed something out? Oh, hang on. No, I didn't save the file. So I need to save the CSV file and then go and do a refresh. Ta-da! There you go. Netherlands is there. And it's also fed through to here. Okay, so there we go. So if I choose Netherlands, yes, there has been one order for the Netherlands, and it is Renee's very expensive shoes. What you'd do in the real world then is you'd actually hide column K. So you can hide that column, and you can still use the refresh command, data refresh all, and it still updates everything even though that pivot table is hidden. Okay, so that's the first demo. Before I go on to the second demo, has anybody noticed anything about Excel?
I have.
I know you have.
Disgusting.
It's not disgusting. I like it.
You would.
We've got rounded ribbons. There's an alliteration. Rounded ribbons. There we go. Rounded ribbons.
You see, Renee likes that. But that's not the only change, is it?
Well, yeah, they've got rid of the colour from the top.
Yeah, we've gone all pasty.
And if I save this file and I close it down and I restart Excel...
Now, you know if you're going to show your desktop, you need to give a health warning first.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, if I open this file here, just keep your eye on the screen because it's going to be really quick. See the new splash screen? It's just white with the Excel logo and it says Microsoft 365 at the top.
And what else is missing on the view now? Ignatio spotted it.
I don't know what's missing.
Didn't it have a green bar? The Mac version does.
At the very top?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's gone all black and white at the very top. Well, grey. It's not really black and white, is it?
Oh, you see, I'm loving what Renee did with that then. Rounded unicorns.
Rounded unicorns, yes. Yeah. Yeah, Ignacio's sort of got a different theme. It's an update. I've got it on this copy of Excel. I haven't checked my Surface yet, but I haven't got it on my other virtual machine, despite the fact that they are both exactly the same version of Excel. Anyway, let me go. What?
Oh, Dee's got the measure of you.
Has she? Why? What she said? Physicists will study Mike's desktop to understand chaotic systems. It's not that bad, Dee.
Oh, I've seen it worse.
I've seen people at work much worse. You know when they say Shay, you know, they ping me on Teams and they ask me a question, and I say, okay, just go into Excel and do blah 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 blah. Save the file, stick it on your desktop, and then I say, right, let's go and find that file, and literally the whole desktop is covered in icons.
You see that? Put it on your desktop. He's encouraging bad behaviour.
Temporarily.
Yeah.
So that we can find it again, but I don't realise that their desktop is just full of icons. Anyway, let's get back to my...
Ignatio wants to know if that's a new version, and it's on the fast track beta release, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm on the Office Insider beta release. So if I actually go to File Account, you can see that it is version 2108, which is August 2021, build 14301.2004. Now, as I say, my other virtual machine on my other Mac is exactly the same version, and that hasn't got it yet. So they tend to drip feed these things.
What he means is it's random.
It is. It's totally random.
It's like a raffle.
Yeah, it's totally random. Paul says it was actually pretty good. The icons were aligned.
Yep, Paul's seen it worse as well.
I've seen it worse. I tidied it up a couple of weeks ago. I created a folder called Cube Functions.
We'll all have a look at my desktop shortly.
Anyway, can I finish this? Can I finish this
Yes, of
demo?
course you can.
Right. Okay. I'm going to show you a similar way of working, but using a slicer. So I've actually deleted. This is another file. I've totally deleted the drop down. So the drop down is gone. The pivot table's gone, and I'm going to show you doing this in a different way. So if I click on Insert and go to Filters, you've actually got Slicer there. Every time we've done Slicer in the past, you can well, not you can only, but every time we've done Slicer in the past, we've always attached a slicer to a pivot table or a table, but you can actually just insert a slicer into the worksheet. And what you would then do is you would connect the slicer to the data model. So you go to data model and then just choose attach the slicer to the tables in the data model. All this, by the way, is only available in the Windows version of Excel. It's not available on the Mac. If you want to know more about the data model, I've just written a blog post about it. So yeah, with my I won't say promise, but
Was it a promise?
no, it's not a promise of trying to write more blog posts. It's a something, but it's not a promise.
You were inspired by me writing them.
I was, yes. Anyway, I'm going to choose country sold to and click OK. So there is my slicer, which has pulled in all the countries. And of course, if I added any more countries to my CSV file, then I did a refresh, then that would update my slicer list. Okay. What I'm then going to do is I'm going to go just to slicer settings, because if you look at the slicer settings, there is a name to use in formulas which you can't change. So it's the word slicer, it's always the word slicer followed by an underscore, basically followed by the name of the column that the slicer is associated with. So it's slicer underscore country sold to. So how are we going to get the slicer populating the drop down? Well, actually there's not going to be a drop down, there's just going to be a cell, and the formula in B10 is connected to B8. So the formula I've put in B10 is actually referencing B8. So as soon as something appears in B8, it will then update that formula. But how we're going to get something into B8 is by picking the selected item from the slicer. So if I go to L1, and I'm just picking L1 randomly, it could be any cell. I'll pick I1 and put equals cube set. The cube set function is the function that just references the cube's set itself. It's always this workbook data model, and then it's slicer country sold to. So it's displaying a blank cell. Remember, you could add a third parameter to display something in that cell, but what it's actually done is it's gone to the country sold to slicer, which is here, which is getting its data from the data model, and it's picked up each one of these values and stored them behind the scenes in I1. Then I'm going to go to B8 and remember the cube ranked member function. That's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Cube ranked member function. That one will grab one item from the cube set. So again, that is always this workbook data model. The cube set itself is in I1, and this is actually going to be the selected item from that slicer. So when a slicer is the source for the cube set, then whichever item is selected is always the first item for the cube set. So the third parameter will always be a number 1. Now, because all the items are selected, it fills all in there, but as soon as I click on one of these slicer buttons, what it does is it says, right, whichever slicer button is selected is the first item in the cube set, and the formula in here is picking up the first item in the cube set. So that's what's going on behind the scenes. Every time you select a country, it's feeding it through to there, and then that formula is basically adding up the total revenue for that country. So there we go. That is cube functions and cube sets and all things cubey.
You're going to have a unicorn called Cubey now,
A unicorn called Cubey, yes.
Right, I've shared your blog post for you.
Oh, thank you.
I know, I'm just so kind. Right, are you done?
I'm done.
Right, I will swing that and then move it over here then. Oh, hang on. Yeah, I've got all kinds of things open that I shouldn't have open. Right, let's go back into there and do that. Oh, crying out loud. Getting there, getting there. Oh, I think the dog wanted to go out.
Did she? Right.
Yes, she was grumbling. But then she does grumble when Daddy does anything but doesn't give her attention. As I do myself, but she gets further than I do with it. Right, okay. Oh, so many requests for this one. Drafts. What is it? How do you use it? Why do you need it? All of that. So, as I said, it started life on the Mac, on iOS, but then it morphed to the Mac. On iOS, it came out in 2012, and it made a lot of sense, but you either got it or you didn't. The tagline is where text starts, and the rationale of that is you might want to write a note, send a message, write a book, an article, a blog post, maybe create a task for something, somebody's about to give you a phone number, those kind of scenarios. You don't want to lose the idea or lose the thought by having to sit and think, where do I put that? Do I put it straight into Notion? Shall I put it into Bear? What shall I do with that piece of text? And we are talking text alone. Now, it was 2019, so it was 7 years later before it came to macOS. And there was two schools of thought with that. Not needed, because copy and paste was fully fledged on the Mac. Whereas originally Drafts was built to overcome the limitations of iOS copy and paste. But once you get it, you'll think, I've got to have a Mac version, and that's where we were. So it's the Mac version that we're actually going to have a look at. So, why is nothing moving yet again? There we go. Now, we've actually briefly seen it today, haven't we? Drafts. There be... No, there not be that. There be drafts. So, normally, when you open it, and I've got no data in here whatsoever, that's the interface that you're faced with. And I just said, I'm going to paste this stuff in here. I've got nowhere else to put it. So I literally just copied that via the copy tab info and pasted it in here. But just forget that I've done that. And there's a blank one, and imagine it looks like that. So you may use Ulysses, and if you do, that doesn't look a million miles away. In fact, it doesn't look a million miles away from any application that uses tags to organise text, chunks of text in individual documents, which is what you've got in here. But just to show you what we do have, these that we've got listed down in the blue area on the left are the tags. They work in the same way as tags work anywhere else, but there's a couple of extra features that Drafts actually has that hook into the tags to make them work better. But it's all about text. This is nothing to do with graphics. We can't put graphics in here. This is text. Then you've got the actual chunks of text you're working with, which we've got two examples of there. One that's blank. So, hello, our first text. There we go. How many spelling mistakes in that? That's just a placeholder for our text. That is where that text lives, and it lives inside the Drafts library. We're not looking at individual files on a hard drive here. It's all wrapped up in the single Drafts library. Then you've got the features across the top, the things that you can actually do, which we will work through and I will show you. Your interface may look very, very different to this, because across the bottom you can choose a different set of tools depending on what you're doing. You can even customize those tools depending on what you're doing. So yours may look very, very different to that. And there's more tools, yet more tools along the bottom as well. There will even be extra tools over here depending on what you do as well. So there's a lot of tools. Don't freak out about it. I will talk you through the lot. But before we go any further, we need to understand, is this going to cost money? Because that's Renee's first concern. Is this going to cost money? And the good news is, no, it doesn't have to cost money. So what I've got here is Mike uses this completely free. I do pay for it, but that's because I make extensions. But you can download the iOS version and the Mac version completely free of charge. The fantastic thing with their pricing model is normally, if you think of Evernote, and there's other companies the same, one of the things that they start to take away from the free version is the ability to sync between devices. But this syncs irrespective of whether you're using the free version or not. The pro features that you get, first of all, it explains that a single pro subscription is across the board. It's all the versions of the app. So it's the iPhone, the iPad, the Mac, and even the Apple Watch. And this is one of the very few apps I do actually have installed on my Apple Watch, because I don't have that many. But not only do I have it installed, it has pride of place on my main watch face. And what you can do with it on the watch is tap it and just talk to it, and it will transcribe it and add it to your inbox. So how I think of drafts, they say it's where text starts, and from there you send it millions of places depending on what you want to do with that text. To me, it is my global text-based inbox. It doesn't matter whether it's going to be, I mean, if I know it's a task, I will send it to things. But if it's like, oh, I need to make a note, I need to capture that quickly, I just put it in drafts. And I worry about what it actually is and where it needs to be later. It can sit in drafts maybe for 5 minutes, maybe for a month, until I'm ready to actually do something with that. So a single subscription gives you across the board access to all of the platforms. The actions are the things that you do with the text that you've added. So for instance, one of the things that my primary use for this on iOS before the Mac version was to type a tweet into. Now you might think, well, why can't you type a tweet into Twitter and send it? Yeah, tried that with Mike driving. He went over a pothole, I pressed enter, and half a tweet got sent.
Just me to walk in.
You walked in at just the right moment there, Mike. You're in trouble again. So I learnt from that. You went over another bump and I ended up following Zach Manchester, if you remember.
Yeah.
He was a right laugh, he was. But yeah, not good. So if I start typing into drafts, I've got two benefits for that. I can take it from drafts and put it wherever I want anyway. And I still have the copy in drafts if I want. But if you want it to be automatically deleted, it can do that as well. But if I want to use that piece of text again some other time, I can use it as boilerplate, and I can have a whole group of, happy birthday, happy anniversary, or whatever I want to send. So the actions are what take the text and send it where you want it to be. So be it a text message, be it a tweet, wherever it needs to go. Now, you do get some actions, but the pro feature is you get to create your own and edit them. Also a pro feature is the icons you use and the themes, and the ability to create workspaces, which we will look at, but we will look at that next week. You've got widgets and sharing as well with the pro features. There's enhanced automation, and you get your support. And the prices are $2.99 a month or $29.99 a year with a free 7-day trial. But as I've said, Mike works quite happily with drafts and does not have a pro account at all. I have a pro account for the actions. But the point being, you can try this. Everything that we do tonight will be totally free. So we have drafts. Now, I haven't synchronized this at the moment. Well, actually I have, but there's nothing there. So what I did as a demonstration for you, so it was completely blank, was nuked everything. So this is synchronizing with my iPad at the moment, but we're focusing on the Mac version tonight. So I use it, as I say, for a global inbox. It's the first place to capture anything that's text related, anything at all. Beyond that, then depends on the features. So the main area that you see in front of you is the text space area where your content will go. You do have ways to organise your content, so it doesn't have to be just throw it in there and then I'll have to try and find it when I can, because as you can see there's tags. So we could tag this. So this might be, let's say this is just a note. That's it. Now I've got a tag called note. Also, that appears over here straight away. So I've got things that are untagged, things that are tagged, and I've now got this tag for a note. This one is links. So I usually put for that URL or URLs to be checked or something like that. And then that will appear over here as well. And at that point, if I want to do a search through here, then I can, and I can base that search on the tag. So it doesn't fall into one almighty inbox that's like, I can't find anything. Right, within this area in the middle here, so within this bit, this is the index to your content. So each one of these is an individual draft. I would say a note, but it's a draft, hence the thing being called drafts. So each one of these is completely separate. It can exist within these places here. So that at the moment, both of these are in my inbox. If one's really important, then I could flag it, and flagged drafts appear in the flagged section. At the moment, I haven't got one that's flagged. But if I right click on that and flag it, then flagged shows the orange flag. It shows the orange dot in the interface, and when I go into flagged, any notes that are flagged will appear in there. Then you've got your archive. So once you've started working with stuff, if it's like, yep, I've dealt with that now, you've got two options. You could either just delete it, or you could choose to archive it. So when you click on it, you have the options in here to open this in a new window if you wanted to, or move it to the inbox, the archive, or the trash. You've also got the options to flag and unflag it, to add tags to it, to change the syntax, and we'll be looking at more of these. But at the moment, let's just move that to the archive. It's dealt with, and it takes it out of the inbox, but it doesn't delete it. Obviously, it doesn't put it in flagged either, because it's not important. It's gone in the archive. And the last grouping you have is all, and that will show you everything, whether it's flagged, archived, in the inbox, whatever. The only thing it won't show you is what's in the trash. So if we were to actually delete that, it's now no longer in the inbox, it's not flagged, there's nothing in the archive because we've deleted it. We have one note, but if we click on the bin, then we've deleted this item, and that stays in there until you empty the bin. Now, I thought it would be fantastic to be able to add to these and add another one maybe, you know, for a particular project. You can sort of do that, but not in that way. That's what a workspace is. Now, we'll look at workspaces next week, but you can see here I've got individual workspaces, and they'll be based on some criteria. So if it's something to do with MacBites, it will appear in the MacBites workspace. So think of a workspace as being a filter across all of the options here that you have, but we'll look at that next week. So I've got one piece of text. How do you get stuff in here? Well, I did mention that if you've got an Apple Watch, you can just talk to it and it will add a note. Shall we try that and see how bad it is? Right, let's go into here and see if we can actually make it do that. Oh, it's lying to me already. It says I've got 134 in the inbox, which clearly I haven't. I can either write it or I can actually just say it. Here's a new note added from my Apple Watch. And I'm tapping the done button. Right. And that's haired off, and there it is. Didn't I even have to do anything from it. So I literally talk to my watch. It's the only time I do that. When the Apple Watch first came out 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Oh, good grief, no, it's 7 years ago. No, it was announced 7 years ago. It came out 6 years ago. It was like, oh, we'll all be like talking to our watches and it'd be fantastic, and I hardly ever do it. The only time I do that is with drafts. So if I've got an idea and I don't have my post-it notes quick to hand, I will just talk to it, and as you can see, it will add it there like that. So that's one way to get information into it. But there are other ways. So I work with drafts closed all day, and then I think, oh, I want to add something to drafts. The way I do it is to use the quick entry window. Probably best to show you the shortcuts to start with. So in here we have some shortcuts. These are the important shortcuts as far as I'm concerned. I do have this launch at login, but it doesn't show the main window. It just sits there waiting. I don't have it showing in the menu bar, but you could if you wanted to. Maybe that'll appear in a moment. But the interesting ones for me are these shortcuts. And I had to recently change these shortcuts, and it's driving me mad. I had to change them because they clash with Craft. So I've just about got my head around what they are. And they are the 3 quick ways to capture information. So the first one is to bring the main window up. The second one is to do a quick capture, and the third one is to capture from the clipboard. They're not the default shortcuts because they clash with my other apps. So those are the shortcuts I've added. They don't clash with anything. And I use those 3 methods more than anything else. I probably use the middle one the absolute most. So hold on to your hats with how we can actually add stuff to it. So it starts and I don't see the app at all. The first option you've got is the shortcut to bring the main window back. So if you commit these 3 shortcuts to memory, that's it. Don't need to remember anything else. And from there I will Command and N and then add a new note. And that's it. What I actually find easier is not to be distracted by the notes I've already got, which I can see. So if I just close that window down, how I work is I'll probably have something that I want to add. So let's say from here I want to add some of this information. Not interested in the graphics, but I just want to copy that and then maybe work with it. So I've copied it at that point. I tend to bring up this, which is the quick entry window, and I love this. It means I can add information. But more than that, one, I'm not distracted by the rest of the interface. There's nothing there. So if I just paste in the information we've got, puts all of the text in it. And then I can start working with that. So that's likely to be a header. So I'll put a header in there, and that is likely to be another header. So I'll put a header in there, and I start working with this document, not being distracted by anything else. I can also add a tag in here. So I'm loving the fact that that is not doing what I want it to do. I've no idea why it's not. We're going to look at that in a minute. But Command and T should take you to add a tag. And this one we'll call this drafts. Just to do with drafts. Okay. So now we've got a tag of drafts, and I'm tidying this up as I go and working through it. Now at this point, let's say I've only done half of it and there's more information. The wonderful thing with this, and very few Mac apps do this, I wish more did, but they don't, is, right, I'm going to sit that there and I'm going to bring my browser back on. But that window sits on top of my browser window. So I can carry on working in here and getting more bits that I want to copy and paste in there, but that will sit on top of everything else, and that is such a productivity boon. Right, let's put that in there, get rid of some more of these, put some tags in, and I'm still working away, but it's not actually saved inside drafts yet. It's saved in here, so I can come back to it, but I could actually just close that, lose that, and bring drafts back, and that note isn't there. It's in this kind of purgatory state where it isn't where it came from, but it isn't actually saved in drafts yet either. Right, you have a couple of options. By far the easiest thing to do, and I'm just going to copy that and we'll use that in a minute, is hit save. And when you do that, it saves it as a new draft. So there's the new draft. Now when we go back to the quick window, there's nothing in the quick window because you've added it. But if I want to add this, so let's say that's another feature, so I'm going to put 2 in there. What you can do is, in here, you have the option to open this up. And what you can do is actually append it to one of these notes if you want. So we've got that one, and here you have this option that you can select it to append or prepend it. So you can append it to the end or prepend it to the beginning. So I'll do that. And you get the option up here to prepend or append, and I will append it and then click there, and it will add it down the bottom. There it is, number 2. So this window here, this quick window, I just find that so useful. So useful. Once you've set it up, it remembers it. So you've now totally changed what that window does. Instead of it just being the window that you randomly type into, it could be the window that you randomly type into, but always append the text to the same note, or even add it to the beginning. So let's say you've now discovered a great introduction to the drafts piece, and you want to put that at the beginning, then prepend it to that note, and there it is, and that is now at the top. It's just fantastic. That is amazing. Oh, look at that. Renee's got an idea about recording my voice and transcribing it. YouTube will do that for me, Renee. They'll even, if the community wanted to translate, YouTube would let them do that. So YouTube will add that. But yes, I could. So I don't actually see the drafts window that much. I tend to work with this window quite a lot. I don't append and prepend much, I'll be honest. I tend to save as a new draft, but I work in that window because it's so clean. So either I'm looking at that or I'm dictating it to my watch, and I'm done. And then the stuff that I add, I deal with later. I try with drafts to empty it on a daily basis, weekly at the outside, because it starts to lose its effectiveness if it's full of detritus that needs to be somewhere else. But you can create views and workspaces that would solve a problem with that. But those are the ways that I use it the most. Now the third way of adding stuff is, if we go back to our Vivaldi, which is down here, you know that I can copy and paste stuff here, so I'm just going to copy and paste that. Now I'm just going to use a shortcut key, which in my case is Option Shift and 3, but basically it's the third option. The first one, that's 1, brings the window to the front. That's 2, brings that to the front. And 3, it's added it and we don't have any interface whatsoever. So if I bring the interface back, you can see we've now got a new note. I think it was that one there, wasn't it? It's just added that one. So it's added it at the top of the list, but the flagged one stays at the very top. So that extensions one is always going to be at the top until we unflag it. But this is the new one that I've just added. And in that case, if I'm going around the web and I'm just like copy, 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 I don't even have to see the interface of drafts. I can just paste, paste, paste straight into drafts and sort the mess out later. I don't do that often, I must admit. I tend to organise as I go, which may or may not be a good thing. I don't know. But it's a deceptively powerful app. It really is. As long as you sit down and think through your workflow, it's an amazing app. So to make this work a little bit better, so I can show you some of the other features, we could do with go through and organising it a bit. So I need to show you that first of all, this text, when I'm going into this text and I'm putting the hash sign, this is Markdown, and it's understanding that that is Markdown. It's understanding it's Markdown because at the very bottom of the screen you get to choose what syntax to apply to the text. So you could just go for plain text if you want. So if we turn that into plain text, you can see it goes wider, but we lose the visual impact of this being a level 1 heading. Doesn't make that much difference because that's interesting. That wasn't my typo. That really was not my typo. I copied and pasted it. But it's just text. It doesn't make that much difference because Markdown is plain text. So all you're doing when you say, no, I don't want it plain text, I want it Markdown, is you're asking it to interpret it as Markdown. So if I put in here a level 2 heading, How that would work is I would put 2 hash signs in there, and that would give me a level 2 heading. So that's just the options that you've got. You also have other options. There's multi-markdown, which is a different kind of markdown. So it doesn't make that much difference. In this case it's wider, but in terms of the headings you can still see the headings. You also have a GitHub markdown, which is fractionally different. Again, doesn't look that much different there because I haven't put anything in there that GitHub would need interpreted in a different way. But you do have all of these language options. You can create a simple list. In this case that's not a list, so it's not changing. And you've got task paper and JavaScript. Now task paper, it kind of does it, doesn't it? Right, task paper is a language for an application called, unsurprisingly, task paper. But why it's available as an option and is called a language, why is there a task paper syntax? Task paper syntax is supported in multiple other applications. So task paper supports it, obviously, but so does OmniFocus and a few others. You could actually write down an entire project in text, in drafts, and then transfer it to task paper or OmniFocus. And it would come through to those applications formatted in the way it would need to be formatted to work with that application. And JavaScript will actually turn it into code, so it totally changes the font, and if that were JavaScript, you can see it's found certain words that it's actually highlighted. So if you wanted to use drafts as a kind of snippet library, you could do just that. You could add a tag for JavaScript, you could add a tag for maybe a project, and next week you'll see you'll be able to create a workspace and flip over to your code library. So while I've said I try and empty it every week, that's because to me the primary use of drafts is a global text-based inbox. But you can see from the workspaces that I've already got that I do have a view that's all my MacBites content. I have stuff I've posted to the social media. I've got boilerplate, which is like templates. I've got all the stuff that I wrote for Second Brain. So all of these are in there and they give me like a filtered view of it. So there's no harm keeping things in there if that's what you choose to do with it. I try not to. What I'll do with the Build a Second Brain thing is filter for Build a Second Brain and then transfer it into Roam probably. Maybe Notion, but probably Roam. Those saved views just give me a really fast way to work with it. So we'll go back to Markdown. That's our language of choice, so we'll leave it there. But the other options you have here are these tools. So this one is set to Markdown, but what you have along the bottom here are actually actions that will appear at the side here. So these are the actions. So when you speak about actions, and that actions, if you want to customize them, that's a paid for thing. It's these actions, but you see you already get a lot of actions to start with. So these are just the basic ones. If I wanted to copy all of that, I can just hit that copy button and it's copied it. In fact, I need to double click it on the Mac. You tap it once on iOS and double tap it on the Mac. So I've copied it. But if I type this up and I'm ready to go, and I know I'm going to send it somewhere, I'm going to do something else with it, you can even copy and delete. And it's copied it and it's put it in the trash. So it's just a way of keeping it neat and tidy where you don't even have to go and delete it. Now obviously we don't want to be in the business of deleting stuff, so we've got a blank one here. I'll paste it back in. You can choose to mail it to somebody. You can even choose here. That one's just going to mail it. It's going to open up your default mail client and start making you a mail. But you could even, if you've got the Pro account, you could change that to mail it to a specific person. You can share it, you can send it as a message, you can tweet it, you can open up a Google search with it. Now you'll notice that event is dimmed out. That's probably because I don't use the calendar app, the built-in calendar app. But I do have the reminders app, and so it's offering that. I can even print it. Then you've got services. So there's a whole range of things here you can do. Do you want to save it as a file? Do you want to save the file with a specific name? So if you've typed something up like that and you think, yeah, that's my blog post, then you can say save to files as, and that's even got that on it, but we'll put drafts at the beginning. Right, and export, and it should save it. off it goes. You could save it to iCloud desktop, that the desktop is totally blank. Nothing on the desktop. There we go. Come on, wakey wakey. You have to speed up a bit. There we go. And there it is on the desktop. Only one file, don't hyperventilate. You can save it to iCloud Drive. You could even create a journal in iCloud, which is a file that you keep appending stuff to. You can save it to Dropbox or create a Dropbox journal. You'll notice that Save to Evernote, Append to Evernote, and Evernote as to-dos are dimmed out. Why? Well, Evernote, if you remember, brought out Evernote 10. And we all criticised to heck because it doesn't do half as much as the other one. And one of the things that it doesn't do is integrate with any other application on the Mac anymore. So they are there, but they're dimmed out. They will work on iOS. So that's why they're not deleted. You've also got the same options for OneDrive, OneNote, Google Drive. You can even post it straight to WordPress or save it to Box or create a Box journal. And that's just the basic actions. It ships with those. That's the basic stuff it does. But within there, you've got other ones. So I have my basic set where I have got rid of quite a few, like Box. I'm never going to use Box. I'm not. I can send a mail to myself. I can send a mail to Mike. They are custom created. One of the things that I want to do is move the lines up and down easily. They don't really want you to do that, believe it or not, but there is a reason, so I'll explain. But those are the ones that I have customized in there. So if I want to create, I used A1, but if I'm in a location, so I'm with my watch, but I don't have access to anything else, I can quickly make myself a note to put in my journal. And then when I come back to here and I'm processing it, I look at it and I think, oh yeah, that was to go in day one. And all I need to do is double click that and it will save it to day one. So that's why I've customized these quite a bit. But in addition to those, I created some social ones. I have to be careful with these. These actually do just totally post it. Doesn't even stop. But what I do with this, I've got one that copies it and posts it to social. But I've also got these four here. And what they do, not that I wanted to post it, but what I do, let's say I've written something up. So, never mind, add a new note. Lola was so cute today. Not that she's not cute every day, but this particular day she was very cute. And I'm going to post a picky. I'm going to do it on Instagram. Problem I've got on iOS is, on Instagram, to be found, you have to hashtag the life out of it. Right? So I have created this action to do that for me. So it's done. It puts all of the tags in that I need for Lola. It will also, if I do another one and say, Ollie was so cute today, him being a jackapoo, let's put the jackapoo thing in, and there's all the jackapoo hashtags. And that's why I've put these here. This is just such a time saver. Then I can go onto iOS and just copy and then put it with the picture as I send it. So that's what they mean when they say drafts is where text starts. You put the text in here and then you do something else with it. Okay, so that's some of the stuff that it can actually do. Just heading back to the preferences, give you another idea of how this may want to work with this. You can have it light and dark. My system is light. Sometimes there's a couple of machines I have it dark, but most of the time I have that light. I have set it to launch at login, but I don't want to see the main window. I have set that to show in the menu bar. I'm assuming it's hidden it somewhere under here. Oh, I wonder what that is. It didn't like that, did it? Might need a restart to see that in there, but I have turned that on. This is an interesting one, given what drafts actually does, which is particularly on iOS. The idea is that you quickly save a thought. So on the Mac, I have it create a new draft after, and you've got 30 seconds, 60 seconds, all the way up to an hour, or never. And I pretty much set it to never on here, because I'm probably going to add stuff. So I don't want, after 15 minutes to go back to drafts and find that I've got a new note that I need to delete, because 9 times out of 10 I'm adding it with that float over window, this one. So I don't need a new thing creating, so I set it to never. But on iOS it makes much more sense. So on iOS I'd set it probably to about 3 minutes, 60 seconds to 3 minutes, and then I will get a new note every time I open it up. You can sync with iCloud, so I have enabled iCloud. It does need iCloud Drive, etc., but it does sync, and it syncs pretty quickly, as you saw. You already saw that one come in from my watch, and that one did a rather good job. I do have this play the sounds, which is unheard of. I don't like anything that makes a noise. But I'm hearing, as I'm creating a new note, from the paste thing, so I'm copying it and then I'm using the shortcut key. I really do need to hear the sound to make sure that it has actually saved that. So I do leave those on in here. It will back up for you, and it backs up 2 different things. It backs up your actual content, which is these notes in here. It also backs up the actions, which are over on the right hand side, because if you've written some actions, you don't want that you lose it if your machine dies. So I have this done daily, and I'd have it done hourly if possible, but I have it done daily. Just to give you an idea, you just hit back up now and it's done. You hit back up now and it's done. In fact, in this one it's going to want this, isn't it? We'll stick it on the desktop. We'll back that up on the desktop. But if I show you the backups in the Finder, they are there. So that is in iCloud Drive, in Drafts. There's a backup folder called Drafts. Why is that not a good place to put the backup? But we have 2 folders. We have the drafts and we have the action groups. If I go into drafts, you can see these date back to 2018. And there's quite a bit of them. And you'll see it go up in size and keep going up in size to 4.3 meg then. And then I took it down in April because I nuked everything as a test. And then I carried on using it, went up and up and up and up. What's this one here? That looks like January. I don't know why January is down the bottom. I have no idea why January is down the bottom. Oh, that says export and that says backup. There you go. Okay, that'll be why. But it's not the best place to put them. It's one place to put them and it's automatic, so I do that. And these go back to 2019, so all of the backups are there. But not the best place to put them. Let's see how much room they're taking up for a start. Over a gig, 1.5 gig with 500 meg on the hard drive. But not the best place to put them, because where are the originals? In iCloud Drive. Where are the backups? iCloud Drive. So if iCloud Drive fails, then yeah, don't do that. So what I would do is back up elsewhere as well. So every week or so I'll just do a quick backup and back them up somewhere else. But I still leave those turned on. Is there anything else you could do? Because when these back up, they are going to back up there, and that's that. Right? That's the only place it will back up. But what could you do? Well, you could set something that every time a new file is added to those backup folders, it's copied somewhere else as well. So maybe a Hazel rule or something like that you could do. If you're going to do that, document that you've done it. Because if you don't, you move to a new machine, it's like nothing's happening. Why would that used to back up? And you'll forget that you needed to actually do it. You can also here automatically import things from reminders, or you can automatically import files as well. So if you create, which is what this bit at the bottom is telling you, if you create a folder, inbox as a subfolder of the drafts folder in iCloud Drive, and you save files there, they'll automatically be imported. So it's just another way of getting data in here. So you've got your watch, you've got your copy capture, you've got the fact you can type it in, you've got the fact you can talk to your phone, you've got all these different ways of getting data in there. Yes, Carol, we're talking at cross purposes now, aren't we? Because we've got that 30-second delay, but yes, you can use Hazel to do that. Then you've got markdown things that you've got. So what sort of markdown do you want? And you can turn these on and off. Do you want to use critic markup? Do you want to use random footnotes? Whatever you want to use, you can enable that in there. GitHub is a different type of markdown, but again, you can totally configure how it works. In the extensions, when you send information from drafts, you can decide what that actually looks like. So you've got this template here that you could use and send that out. Credential-wise, this is when you've logged into something. If you need it to forget, if you change your Twitter account or whatever, then you need to click a button over here for it to forget. And then there's Drafts Pro. So you can see that mine is active. I think I paid that not long ago. But it automatically picks that up. Or, as I've said, you can completely... I mean, it's not one of these things where they give you a tiny tantalising look for free. It's fully functional for free, as long as you don't want to customise it too much. Right, so that's the preferences. Let me have a look what else there was in here. So we've done the add-in from the clipboard. The icons that you've got on the toolbar are quite useful. These two here navigate you up and down. So you're navigating through your drafts list, going down and going up through it. I guess that might be quite useful. I tend to be working on a particular thing. I hardly ever use that. Then you've got the last draft, which will take you through to the last draft that you actually edited. You have the microphone option, so you can dictate even if you're on your Mac. So that would probably be really useful if you were doing a blog post or something and you wanted to dictate the whole thing. I can't do that. I'm all over the place when I'm doing that, but no, I do not speak into it. I only do that with my watch. You've got the ability here to add a new draft. You can move something to the inbox if you have something in the archive. So if we were to move that to the archive and look at it in the archive, and now the tabs have disappeared, but there you go, there's the archive. Once you're in here, if it's not in the inbox already, you can choose to move it to the inbox, which is just a fast way of doing it. You also have here the ability to quickly archive something, so move it to the archive, or you can delete it. And you have the ability up there to tag it, which toggles on and off the tag bar underneath it. I leave that showing all the time. You should be able to get to it from wherever you are with Command and T. And as you can see, it's working there. But sometimes in here, Command and T worked for years. And it's working now, but you saw what happened before, which was when I typed some stuff in here and I used Command and T, and it's working again now. It actually showed me the information below here. It toggled this open, and I've no idea why. I think that's a bug. I think it must be a bug. Right, so we've got all of the options there. You can search as well, so you can do a quick search, and it will search through the draft. So you can actually do a search, you can create a new draft, add new with a clipboard, new with dictation, or you can search for something and actually search for one of your drafts. You also have the ability over there to search the drafts as well. So if I wanted to find one there about the iPhone, and it filters out. So you've now got a filter applied to it here. And if you want to go back, you can take that up there. And that will hide that. This is where you can send it out as well, so where you can share it. And I have very few things set up to share to, because there's nothing that I loathe more than to come into here and see like a list of 27 things, most of which I'm never going to use. I did choose those. I don't think you can nuke messages. I would have tried, trust me. But I do use Cloud App and I do use Instapaper. So those are the ones that I would be sharing that to. So you can do that there. This toggles off your actions, which, to be honest, if you haven't got any custom actions and you don't want to use the actions that are in there, is probably a good thing to do. You can also, which I think, is it that one that will do that? Let me have a look what that's saying. Yeah, float on top. So you could get this window, which is not the, in my case, the one I'm doing with the number 2. That automatically floats over something. But if you want to use this window, maybe you just want that, and you want it quite narrow, and you want it there, but you want to use your browser And probably it would make more sense to have that over there, wouldn't it? And you'd like that there while you're making notes with it, like that. But as soon as you click that, it disappears to the back, and that's what you've got this little fella for there. So when you click on this, you can carry on making notes, you can scroll up and down here, and you can move this wherever you want, which is just so fantastic. It really is one of these apps that's like, you look at it and think, why would I want to use that? It took me ages to persuade Mike to use it, didn't it? I don't need that, said Mike. And then he was like, how am I going to do that? Well, you could do that with drafts, said I.
I use drafts all the time.
You do now. Write blog posts in it and all kinds of things, don't you? Is there anything I have not shown you that? I'm going to show you the workspaces next week. We've done everything else, I do believe. I think we have. Let me have a look. Yep, we've done all of that. Oh, hang on. There's those. Right, okay. I will show you in here. Let's take that full screen and get a side panel back as well. Right, down the bottom, we have next to the markdown, which is the syntax, we have editor preferences, so you can set the editor preferences as you would like. I am wondering why they are not there, and that is probably because it's behind here. And I've set that to float over, so hoisted by my own petard. Right, this is your editor preferences, so you can decide whether you want light or dark or whatever. You can set that in here as that, which I'm not 100% keen on. But you can even set just part of the interface to be light or dark. So if you wanted the rest to be dark, but you wanted this bit to be light, you can even set that up in there. So you've got a lot of control in here, including what font you use, what the mono font is. Now that goes to Menlo, but I much prefer Source Code Pro, so I'm going to choose that one. You can set the size of the margins, so if we move that down and move that across, you'll remember if we change the syntax and go to multi-markdown, it goes full screen. And I must admit, I find that markdown being a little bit too narrow. But you can change these. Doesn't actually seem to be changing much there for markdown. Probably an internal thing. But you can change a lot of stuff, including whether there's paragraphs or numbers or not, whether you're highlighting the insertion point, what size you want the base font to be, what line spacing you want, and all of this is down to the granular level of that editor. And you're setting that up just for markdown. If you then go into plain text, you could have plain text in a dark view if you wanted. You're doing it for the specific syntax that you want. You also have in here the syntax, so you can go and get more is it syntaxes? Syntaxes, according to that. So you can click out, go up to get drafts, and it will show you all of this. So if you happen to be writing in IA Markdown or Jira or anything else either, you can get that. And you can install it, and then you have extra syntaxes that other people don't have. And your last one is themes, and you can do exactly the same with that. So you have some themes built in, where you've got all the themes in here, but you can go and get more themes if you want. People have lots of different colours. Why is pink and blue a thing? But there you go. That cyan dot's quite nice. And the navy blue. I'm liking the navy blue. Don't think I'd probably install something called Dracula, but you never know. So you have that option if that is what you actually want to do with it. Right, other information that you have down here. You have the information that you've got, so you can see the details of it, of where it was created, and that is bang on accurate. I can tell you that there is Manchester United's training ground, but that is where we live. So that was where this was created. You can copy the entire contents from here. You can copy the title, the link, or what's called a unique ID. You can copy that, and then that would enable you to put that in another application, and when you click it, it would take you back to here, so you could do that if you wanted. Right, one of the things that I'm going to do with this, because that was exactly what I copied, but in here, this like backward arrow thing, you have versions. So that is a version at the moment. We can see that that is actually there, and the option that we've got is to restore it, or you can copy that version, but at the minute there's only the one version which looks like it was 20 minutes ago. You can choose down here to delete that, but what I'm actually after is to save a version. So where's that vanished to? I've never used versions in my life. There we go, save a version. Command and S, right, it saved a version. So in our versions panel down here, we now have this version that we've just created. So that was the initial one. This is the one we've just created. But I am going to fix platform and save another one. So now we go in here, we've got multiple versions. But if it was like, no, they want to misspell it, then you can go back to the misspelling and you can actually restore that. And the misspelling comes back. So you've got complete version control down to the granular level of each individual note. You also have in here the action log. So as you've used actions, as things have happened, where I've done the save files as, you can see what happened. So what have you done with this note? Did you send it to X? Did you save it as a journal? Whatever you did with it, the actions will give you a list of what you've actually done with it. That one there is focus mode. And focus mode means that irrespective of what I've got set up in the preferences in here for when I want a new note, if I had that set to 30 seconds, enabling focus mode would mean that I was focused on this note until I turn it off. So focus mode is either on or it's off. Other options you've got in here are to arrange. Now this one's useful. You've got these options, you've got this paragraph and you've got these things that are running together. Now it would make much more sense. You should have a space before the heading like that, and then this would make much more sense. If I want to rearrange these, you remember I had an action for it, but you can actually go into this mode and move the paragraphs around just by dragging and dropping them. And you can decide whether you do it on block level or sentence level, line level, or sentence level. So they want you to go into a separate mode to move lines about. I would much rather just move the lines about, but there you go. And the last one here will make more sense if we use this one up here. And I very briefly showed you this before, which is these links are not clickable unless you go into this mode, which is enable link mode. And when you go into that, these do become clickable and you can click them and go in and check them. So that is a mode that you would toggle on and off. I'm not sure about the blue there, but I do that a lot. If I've got like research, what you'll find in my real data is you will find at the top there will be a level 1 heading, and that would say browser extensions. And then I would click this on, and then when I want to go and read them, I will click in each individual one. The reason that I put them in here is they're standard markdown, and it enables me to work with them without actually adding them to the final piece. But if I were adding them to the final piece, I would probably just go in here, copy the whole lot, and copy and paste them into Ulysses. And that would work great. You just tell Ulysses to expect some incoming links and it will format them accordingly. So I can keep these in here and keep editing them and changing them, you know, because every one says Chrome Web Store, so I might decide to lose that in the final stuff. But I can still use the links while I'm researching what it is I'm actually doing. So what we're going to look at next week is the stuff that's in the paid for version, which is the actions and the workspaces. But who knows, maybe I'll tempt you. We don't know, do we? Right, any questions on that, pop them in. Any other stuff you would like to see next week, let me know. While we move into an entirely different mode. Let's get back into there. Oh, it's the unboxing. So, I'm going to have to quickly clear the desks. Oh, there was a question earlier. I put it on a post-it note. It's right in front of my face now. Renee said, will we be able to get these links later? Yes, you will, Renee. So I'll put my post-it note over there. Right, I need all the boxes sorting out, Mike, and I need the lights on, which I'll sort out, and I need that thing working. So let's give me 2 minutes. Talk amongst yourselves. Put the questions in the chat, and we'll get going. Right. Flow. Fingers crossed Screenflow's in a good mood. There's a question you can ponder while I'm sorting myself out. Why am I using Screenflow to record the video? Right, MacBook Air microphone, fair enough. Not that one. That one. Eyeball. Excellente. And away it toddles. And don't go to sleep. Don't ever go to sleep on me. Do, 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 do. There it is. Right. I just need boxes now. I'm moving this so I can't see the chat. Where can I put this that I can see the chat like? Oh, let's move this out of the way. What if I put it over there? Then I think I'd just about be able to see the chat. Right, I think we're good to go with unboxings. Oh. Dee wants to see the unboxings. Right, let me see.
Patience, dear girl.
Yes, it's on its way. It's on its way. Right, let's do that. And you need to see that one. Way! Unboxing time. Right, I'm moving the keyboard, Mike. It's out of the way.
Right.
Right. This is the one you've been tormenting me with all day, isn't it? There we go. There's the box. Right. It's quite small, that, isn't it? Are we taking bets? Do we think we've got everything here? Oh, Carol's downloaded drafts. You won't regret it, Carol. It's fabulous. Do we have any guesses here? Right, let's get the scissors out and have a go with it. But I will take guesses while we're at it. So let's do this.
Do you sticking a pizza in the oven and watching a horror film?
Oh no, this won't be a horror film. Well, not it will be when the credit card bill comes in. Right, let's do that bit there. We are unboxing. Right. Oh, it's got bubble wrap. It's got bubble wrap. There we go. There's bubble wrap. Oh.
Is it what we think it is then?
Is it? No, don't pop the bubble wrap. It could be from China. Is it what we think it is? Luckily, it is. Right. You're all going to be shocked, aren't you? Last chance to guess.
Dee's guessed.
6 more iPads. Well, not in a box that size. How about 1 extra iPad? How about that? Woohoo! We have an iPad. There is an iPad. It really is an iPad. Look, iPad it says. iPad. How do we know this iPad is not for me? Eh? How do we know? Seriously, how do we know this iPad is not my iPad? This is not going to be difficult, is it, Mike? I say, could you possibly get rid of that box?
Sorry.
Instead of leaving me sat there with it. A Windows laptop. Oh, a hard drive. There's lots of suggestions here, but no, it's an iPad. But it's definitely not my iPad. And I'm waiting for somebody to say, "You bought what?" Oh, indeed. Look at this. Oh no, it's pink. You were 1/6 right, Dee. You were. Take the credit. Take it, girl. Run with it. It's an iPad. Yes, it is. No, I did not buy the pink one. Don't look at me. It was nothing to do with me. It's a gift. It's a gift for Mike's mother. Luckily, she doesn't watch the show.
She did once.
She did once watch the show. Apparently once was enough.
Yeah.
Yes, it's for Mike's mother. It's her gift. She wants an iPad.
Kim's got it.
Her phone...
She said it's for Mike's mother.
Her phone is pink. Got rose gold, isn't it? So we figured we'd get her the same. So what it is... There we go. Can we see that? It is 128 gig, 8th gen iPad, Wi-Fi only. And what we're going to be doing is setting it up for her here, because, you know, COVID and all of that. She might be double vaccinated, we're not. So it needs setting up. So can we actually have a look at it? Would that be okay? We're going to have to unbox it anyway. She can't unbox it herself because it needs setting up. So that means I get to unbox another iPad. I would if I could get in this. Have you noticed? That's really interesting. Do you remember the box on the other one had like a tab there and you pulled it? This hasn't got that. So it's a nail job. And that in itself, not easy. I'm going to need implements.
Oh, you got scissors.
I've got implements, Mike. I've got all kinds of implements. Right, let's have a look. I've got nail scissors. That'll do. Nail scissors. Right, let's get the nail scissors in there. There you go. Simple now. Simple, simple, simple. Let's get it that way. We might as well. If I open this the old-fashioned way, the way that I used to open it, then there's a chance we could seal it up again and she'd be none the wiser.
Tracy wants to know, how do we know that she's not watching?
Because it's bedtime and she's early to synagogue in the morning.
She'll be watching the tennis highlights or playing bridge.
She will, but she's not watching the show. She's not. Right, I mean...
She was fine when we were doing the week at MacBites headquarters, but when
she lost it after that.
When I did Excel, he went over her head.
But when she needs your help, she's there.
Yeah.
Right. I'm fast getting in here. I am.
Like when I get a text that says computer's dead.
Yeah, computer dead, please fix. There we go. Right, get that up at the top and we can get in. And we've got to do the old box thing, haven't we? We've got to check when you drop the box. You know, does it gently drop? Because my Pro didn't. Is this going to be any better? No, I don't think it is. I don't think they do that anymore, you know. No, it's a shame because that was nice. You used to hold the top and the bottom would very gently sail out. And now it's more a case of like shaking it to get it to move. Or sticking a knife up it one way or the other. Something like that. It's not coming out. What is it with iPad boxes? They used to be fabulous. Right, there we go. Oh, we have an iPad. Let's turn it over. Oh, God, that's enough. Right. I do have a white iPad, you know. In fact, I've got two white iPads. There's a white iPad. There's one of my white iPads. Oh, look at the fingerprints. I do apologise. But yeah, I have got... That doesn't look that different, does it? Oh, actually, it's bigger. Mine's a 9.7 and that's 10.2. So the screen is actually much bigger. Do you think she'd like my white one instead? No, I don't need a pink one, do I? Good grief, no. But there it is. There is her pink, rose gold iPad. It does actually look gold on the camera, but it looks pink here. It's an optical illusion. Are there stickers that I could reappropriate, Mike? Are there stickers? Stickers! Oh, stickers. I could make a good living out of these, you know, selling them to people with 24-inch iMacs that don't have an Apple logo. But I will pop all of this back. Our plan is to set it up for her and then drop it off. Attach like a balloon to it and float it over to her from the car. That'll work fine. Has it got one of those snazzy plugs? Oh, it has. She's not going to have a clue how to use this plug. So that's going to take sorting out. And is the cable as appalling as mine was? Yes, it is. So lightning powered. And what's this at this end? Oh God, this is gonna frighten the life out of her. It's USB-C. So she's only going to be able to use this plug then to charge it. Oh well, never mind. We'll have to talk her through that as well. But we have that. So let's get that in the box. And let's hand me the next one because it's a multiple unboxing.
There's the next one.
Look at her robbing the poor woman's stickers. I'm not charging to set it up. Stickers. Oh, Kim, you should have seen me back in the day with stickers. Right, we have another one. Oh,
I don't think she'll miss the stickers, do you?
She won't know the stickers are there. It's fine. Right, let's get that open. And have a look what's in here. Oh, what could be in here? Look at the thickness of it. iPad. Oh, this is the one and only time you are going to see me handling something pink. iPad related-ish. Here's hoping it fits. I was assured this was the right one, so let's have a look. We went for... I think she'll like this. We went for a transparent back, but it's also a matte transparent back, so it doesn't show the fingerprints. And it's got corner protection on it. Mine don't have corner protection, but then I don't go slinging my iPad around. But we're not sure about how gentle she's going to be with her iPad, so let's make sure it's in something like this. So let's have a look if it fits. How does that look? It's still got its plastic on, but let's see how it goes anyway. Are we in? I think we are. Whoa, that's not bad at all. It actually feels really nice on the front and back. I might get one of those for my iPad now. Obviously not in that colour. She's going to love that, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's going to get to synagogue and pull that out and be like, look at what my son got me. But there we go. It's lovely.
And daughter-in-law.
And daughter-in-law, yeah. Are we doing anything about MacBite stickers? Yeah, we need to get some MacBite stickers, don't we? But
Yeah.
stickers, I just like stickers. Do you know, Kim, you know what's really funny? In 15 years, I've never actually stuck an Apple sticker on anything. I just collect them like a squirrel. I have a drawer full of them, but I still get giddy about them. It matches really well, actually. It does. It's a very nice case, that. Wasn't... All we were interested in was that she could use it and that she liked the colour and that it protected it. But actually, it feels really nice. This is actually... What does it feel like? A bit like rubberised felt on the front. This bit on the inside, and that's very nicely weighted, so you can fold it over and use it in various guises. I presume it will stand up as well. We get that right. Will it stand up? Will it stand up? Unless we're going a different way with that. Ah, I see. We're going a different way to stand it up that way. Mine only ever goes one way, but they're doing a different way to get it to stand up. But yeah, the weight feels just about right on that case. And it folds up nicely. So there we go. It's her birthday on the 13th, so we've got to get around to sorting that out, haven't we?
Yep.
Right, was there another one that we had? Oh, there was that one there, those over there. I knew it was a multiple unboxing.
This one.
That's one and the one underneath. In fact, we could leave the one underneath. Right, let's get that off because we've still got the address on that one. This has been sat here for heaven knows how long. Right, what can we do with this one? How have they done this? Oh, don't make it difficult. There we go. They are making it difficult. Good grief. Come on, will there be an accident with the iPad? There we go. Oh, at last. This has been something that's been broken for the best part of 7 months, and I've finally decided to sort it out. So I've got myself a new USB hub. I'll put the link in for the case, but this one is USB 3. I think it had 16 ports on it. That weighs an absolute ton. All individually switched. What happened was the hub was working fine. Totally fine. And then I got the new Mac. And once I plugged it in, the hub wasn't working at all. Never mind, fine. So I thought, I'll fix it. And I didn't bother. Then I ordered this, and then I never got around to unboxing it. So I said to Mike, we're going to unbox this tonight because I want to install it. I've literally, I have to unplug a drive to plug the webcam in. It's that bad. So I definitely need this extending. So let's get in and have a look at this big boy. 16 ports, that should be enough. I'm working on the principle, you know, I only need 3 of them working. So if I've got 16, there's a chance that some might actually work. So let's get that open. Other way round, other way round. Oh, shiny. Shiny hub. Oh, that's really small considering, isn't it? It is mighty skinny, is that? But lots of hubs. Lots of ports on it. All individually switched. Oh, they are nice and switchy as well. I think this was on offer. It was definitely on offer. I wouldn't buy things if they weren't on offer. So let's have a look. Oh my, that's what we call a power pack, isn't it? What almighty power pack. Luckily, I think this is fairly standard, because that needs to be standard. And then, what have I got in here? I think I've got both, haven't I? Oh no, hang on, one's a USB thing. So I've got a USB cable. The one that you have least of, and that if you want a longer one you have to buy, which is, I think that's a USB-A. I think the square one there anyway. That square one. And a standard 2-pronged cable with a UK plug on it. Which in the comments was like some got a UK and some didn't, and I thought, well, never mind, it's standard. So yeah, it can't go in until what? What needs to happen with this before I can install it? Absolute rule here at MacBites headquarters. Do I have a link to the hub? I will have a link to the hub, yes, I will put that up there. I've got lots of links from tonight's show and I will share them with you. So that one goes in there and that one goes in the other bit. But yeah, it's 16 ports, all individually switched. Everything is at one end. So power goes in there, data cable goes in there. I will probably have it that way round, sat behind the cameras, which is where the old one isn't and has been there for 8 months. Not working. In fact, none of them worked when we plugged them in, did they? But that one never came back. The other one did, and that one never came back. I can't see me using all of that lot, but it would be nice to be able to have like the cameras plugged in without having to unplug something else. So that was the rationale. It isn't the normal one that I buy. The normal one that I buy, I think, has 10, and it's easy twice as thick as that. So I'll let you know how it goes, always assuming it doesn't blow up or not work, and then I will share the link with you for that. But yeah, that's been sat there for a good few weeks and I just keep forgetting. But I will put the links in, I will. So I'll make sure we got links for everything, including the case, because that is actually a nice case and they do it in black. There we go. So I think the case had a name on it, so let's get that. There we go. The case is Moco. So do you want to find the link for that, Mike? Moco. Oh, there you go. It says find us on Amazon. And then there's QR codes.
Moco case.
So if I hold them like that, then you can do that. There you go.
I found a Moco case on Amazon. Is it that one?
There's no point wafting at it from a distance like a pinhead. Have a look.
There you go. It'll be that one.
It'll be the pink one.
Yeah.
It'll be the pink one. That one. Yes, that'll be the one. Now I might be tempted by a black one with that. Well, obviously that isn't my iPad. Mine's the Pro. That's the standard model. But there you go. The individual switches that people are liking.
It's not letting me post the link. It's 391 characters.
Well, shorten it. Oh, hang on. Let me go get it. Want a job doing, as they say. Where's the keyboard gone? Let's leave all the detritus on the desk and get the keyboard. And do that. And then get Vivaldi. I'll get you the exact one for both of them. Right, let's get a new tab. Amazon orders. Why is this not working properly? Amazon order. Right, iPad. Case. That would be a good start, wouldn't it? Right, there's the iPad case. So let me get the link for that. It's thinking about it. Right, where's the live stream gone to paste it in? There you go. That is the iPad case. And if I go back to my orders and I search for USB hub, there it is. Ouch. Oh, there's 20% off today if you're in the UK. Might buy another one. That's a good deal, that, isn't it? Told you it was on offer when I got it. There's 7 ports, 10 ports, or 16 ports. You've got different numbers of ports. But that is the USB hub. There we go. Tell me that's put a different link in. It has, excellent. There we go. Oh, you're behind on the sound now. Usually it's 30 seconds out, so it could be that. I don't know. So, did we enjoy that? When I look at Elaine's iPad, my comments are always one lower than you. Yeah, you can just see that coming up, can't you? In the corner there. That's my M1 iPad that had my notes on it, and then the rest of the desk is covered in detritus and toys. So if you use that link for the hub, don't miss the 20% voucher underneath. You have to put a tick in the box to claim it. Oh, so did we enjoy that? Did we enjoy that? Let me know. Let's move that out of the way and let's get back to the slides. Where did the slides go? Oh, because we need to know what we've got coming up, don't we? Right, let's get there and bye-bye. Right, what we got coming up? Oh, we have lots coming up, don't we? Particularly this time next week, 16th of July, when we'll have the answers to lots of questions. How was the hub? Did England manage to win a match? Another match? It's been quite scary so far. They haven't lost one, have they? They drew with Scotland. Oh, scary beans. So we'll have answers to lots of questions, and we'll have the second part of the Drafts app thing. On demand, you can find everything. So youtube.com/Elaine Giles. And there is the After Hours playlist, which gets updated on a Saturday afternoon. It would be Saturday morning, but I guarantee you YouTube will be down for maintenance, because you can set it like a clock, can't you?
Yeah.
Every time Mike tries to update it, it's down. But you will find the playlist at macbites.co.uk/After Hours playlist. Today's video will be on the playlist, but it won't have the timestamps until we can actually persuade YouTube to let us in and put them on. Oh, Renee's happy because somebody else has spent some money. It's a good one. I'm glad you enjoyed it, guys. Right, we are still Marooned at MacBites headquarters. I'm up to date with all of the shows. I know, you're shocked, aren't you? But I am. Oh, yes, I am. So that's the feed if you want to hear what we've been doing. Thursdays, I was particularly giddy, wasn't I? Because England had won. I was particularly giddy on Monday as well. So Kim's hoping for a grand victory for England, because then I'll be the giddiest I've ever been. So fingers crossed on that one. If you want to be subscribed to the Marooned at MacBites headquarters list, that is the link and that is the QR code. And you can catch up with all of the past episodes. Let's see who can get to 500 on a replay. The MacBites Marooned Marathon. That'd be good. You can get them in your podcatcher of choice, and all of that is on MacBites FM. We love you guys. If you love us, can you give us a like? Because it really makes a difference. In the meanwhile, there is my list at elainegiles.com/VIP, and there is the MacBites list as well. So we're having a meeting this weekend, aren't we?
We are.
Yeah, I thought he'd nearly forgotten then, but never mind. Whee! There's also the MacBites list, so macbites.co.uk/macbites-mail, and where we have great fun is in Slack, where we are carrying on the conversation, and you can get there at macbites.co.uk/Slack. Kim is hoping England wins. Oh, it's going to be unbelievable if England win. I guarantee it. It's going to be so giddy. We can't do the thing tonight, can we?
No.
No. Jonathan, what have you been up to? Oh, missed him. So I could claim a point, given that he's not here, but that would be...
That wouldn't be fair.
Wouldn't it not be fair?
No.
That's very good of me, isn't it? No, it's all right. I will be the bigger person, and that way England might just win at the weekend, so there you go. So if you're watching, Jonathan, good morning to you. But we'll have a bye this week. There you go. Let me have a look. I'm looking at the chat now. I'm going to have to move this because the chat's that far away I can barely see it, and it's ever so tiny. Right, got it. Tracy's going to be rooting for England. Excellent. Oh, I certainly will, I can assure you. Well, I think we need unicorns around the office. What I might do, when we did WWDC a while back, I had, if you remember, the smiley cushion. I had two cushions, the smiley cushion and the smiling pile of poo cushion. So we could do that again on Sunday, couldn't we? And everybody keep your fingers crossed. Could we have a Maroon special to watch the match together? Would that work, Tracy? Because we'd all be at different times. You know, because we're 30 seconds behind. I mean, it kind of worked, didn't it, on by request? We were probably a bit behind everybody else
Yeah.
on that as well, but I guess that kind of worked. We'll have to see. We'll have to see, Tracy. I'm not sure about the lag time that we've got. We'll work it out. Don't even know which channel it's on yet, do you?
Both, innit?
Well, they said that for the semi and then changed their minds, so I honestly don't know. Technically, it should be the BBC, but I've got a sneaking suspicion they'll both do it, which will set all the football haters off. But there you go. So, we're going to head off. We just want to point tonight, if she accepts your idea, we'll have a look. We'll have a look. Oh, somebody should represent Johnny when he's not here. Preferably somebody who's had something soporific to drink, I hope. Well, we are going to head off because I have... Oh, ITV. Oh, no. That usually doesn't augur well, does it? I think they'll both put it on. I don't think they're going to be able to stop themselves. I mean, look how much they pay Gary Lineker. He's got to do something rather than just sit there and not actually commentate or anything, actually. But I have a midnight, like Cinderella. Oh, BBC says Kath. Well, that's what I'm saying, probably both. But I have a midnight appointment on my class. So I've got to head off for my midnight appointment. And that presupposes I can see the desk at some point. But it's been great, great fun as ever. And we will be back with you next week. But for the moment, it's good night from me.
And it's good night from me.
And we will both see you next time. Stay safe, guys.